trend is making its way to the country's most influential tech companies like Google, where employees are encouraged to put in 12 empty hours of work a week from their homes. The study hasn't swayed every company, however. Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer said in a statement, "At Yahoo, we prefer that our employees pretend to work side by side right here in our offices."
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and we invite you here. If you want to join us, you can. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, it's a bit of a different mix for Tuesday. Normally it's Aria and then Conan and Ian. Conan is off for the season because he works for the post office. So he's, getting work to the bone at this point. He doesn't have time
going postal
to join us. Arya's out with a friend tonight. And so, Mark, you're here unexpectedly. You were supposed to be flying down to Florida today. Nobody's also with me. I'm Ian. But, Mark, you got held up by the TSA?
Well, yeah. So, first off, there was an automobile accident that made me like an hour late. And I'm not talking about crawling. I'm talking about I was in park on the interstate. And
wow.
So, somehow they couldn't figure out how to get a disabled vehicle off of the interstate for that period of time. And we all had to wait.
Was this in Connecticut or Massachusetts?
Mass.
Okay.
And then when I got to the airport, I ran a bit late there, a little frustrated. And the TSA now has so they don't have to touch your ID any longer. There's a little machine into which you slide it. And the machine, I don't know what the machine does, but that machine did not like my ID. Now, my ID is a real ID. So the biometrically...
That's funny because I noticed that the other day. You were showing it off in the studio here, and I saw the little star, the little gold star or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think it's gold on
gold.
yours, but on every other license I've seen it's like a gold star.
Okay.
And I was like, is this real ID? And you said, yeah, but apparently, and a real ID, for listeners that don't know, is a set of federal standards. Okay,
right.
So the states didn't just cook this up. This was put down upon them by the federal government gang. And I think, I don't know what percentage of the states, probably the supermajority of them, have adopted it either as the only option, or you can opt in
to Real ID.
Or you can rather opt out of Real ID. I think they push Real ID by default, but like here in New Hampshire, you can say, I don't want a Real ID license, and you can get a non-Real ID, just sort of by whatever the New Hampshire ID standards are, license. And I don't know how many states have that option either, but I think it's a few of them.
Right. So it's a United States government standardization.
Yes.
And the United States government couldn't recognize it. So I literally had to stand there for another 15 minutes while late, right? And I'm asking them, hey, can you call the gate and tell them you're holding me up or blah, blah, blah. And, of course, they can't
how
do
much
that.
time did you have to get to the gate?
I had about 15 minutes.
From when you hit TSA?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the way I figured it.
Okay.
But they, so the airline wouldn't check my bag, so I had to bring my bag that I was supposed to check on.
Was it 15 minutes to when the plane's doors are supposed to close, or 15 minutes to when boarding started?
They were boarding when I walked into the airport.
Okay. So this is cutting it close.
Yeah, as close as it's not like I could make the car fly. Were I able to do that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, the manager, the head TSA guy has to come over, and he doesn't want to look like an idiot, so he's got to look it over, inspect it.
Well, why did he go to work for the TSA?
Right. Then he's looking in the international book, international IDs. He's like, do you have a passport? I'm like, I'm a U.S. citizen traveling domestically inside the United States with a U.S. Real ID. ID. What do I need a passport for?
It would have helped.
And then he goes and looks back to his international book. This book. Why would this ID be in the international book? But then they find another book, which is of U.S. IDs, and then they can't figure out. So it says
where is he from?
They're looking under C for Commonwealth rather than N for Northern Mariana Islands.
Wow.
Yeah. So finally,
I wonder
Well,
if they
it-
do the same thing for Massachusetts.
Well, now they do refer to this place, the Marianas, as the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Well,
It's
the
frequently-
same is true of Massachusetts. It's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Yeah, but when it comes to like the acronym, it's CNMI is generally
Yes.
how it's referred to,
Yeah.
right?
And right, and so it was very frustrating. Finally, he's like, "You got any credit cards?" So I'm like showing him credit cards. Yes, see, it's me.
Yep.
You know, you got an ID with my picture on
Right.
it. Your boarding pass with my name on it. You know, it's all you really need, pal. And finally, he's just like, "All right, carry on." I'm like, "Can you walk me through the line because now I'm going to be late?" He's like, "No."
Oh, so this was just at the initial where you hand them your ID phase.
Yes.
You never hadn't even gotten through the line at that.
So
Okay, gotcha.
now I have to go through my bags, which I intended to check, and pull out the soundboard and the
Oh God.
the electronics larger than a cell phone. So, and then I have to pack those things back up on the way out. And
Damn, and you missed the flight.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they had closed the doors and moved. The plane was still there, but you know they had closed the doors at that point.
Okay, so and of course you're in an airport where what would you say 99.9% of people have masks on,
Oh yeah.
if not 100%.
Yes.
Did you see anybody with a free face?
Nope. Only mine.
You weren't wearing a mask. Good for you.
For part of the time.
Really? What part?
The part after I had to run with a full bag to the airplane, and I'm like, I'm not going to
So
try
you
to
had
suck
them-
wind through this N95 mask.
Oh, yeah, the N95 on too. Wow. All right. Well, that's quite an exciting story.
Yeah,
Thanks for
no, it's not.
Thanks for sharing it. Because now you get to go through it again tomorrow, right?
Yeah, yes, I do. I'm going to bring my passport.
Good plan. Maybe you need to charter a flight to get you down to the airport rather than having to. Normally, what is it, like an hour and a half? 2 hour?
It's 50 hour and 15 minutes to
Okay.
drive to the airport, which,
Wow.
you know, in a car with lane keeping and adaptive cruise control is hardly any work, and an audio book is hardly any work at all.
Yeah.
But it's really my concern lies with the TSA.
Wow.
It always has.
So if you want to tell your TSA story or travel, nightmare, you're welcome to join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
Yeah, and one last thing I'd like to add, that whole TSA standing for thousands standing around.
Yeah.
Boy, was that in play today. I mean, nobody was, I was the only guy for moments at this checkpoint.
That's what was going to be another question of mine is, I know that early on, at some point, over the summer, or maybe it was even earlier than that, you took a flight and there was almost no one on the plane. What's the airport packed? How packed is it? How busy is it compared to what it would have been a year ago? Because you fly off and out of this
generally, it's not as full. So most of the
airport.
flights.
Half full?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been on full flights in the last few months, but
What time of day was it that you were going through the TSA checkpoint?
today,
Yeah.
about 3 p.
Okay.
And
And you were the only person there.
for moments. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there were other people coming
Yeah.
through now and then, but they were just flying
no
through.
line. There was no
There
line
was no
of
line at all. And they could have said, all right, well, this is a no ID, and given me the blue glove love, and it would
Right.
have taken less time than this nonsense that I had to go through.
So maybe that's what you should try tomorrow is show up and don't show ID at all and see what they do to you.
I'm not interested.
It
in
might be
playing
the same
playing
crew
games.
that's on. See how they treat you.
No.
I mean, why not? What do you got to lose at this point? You've already missed a
I've
flight.
already missed a flight. Yes.
Just go 2 hours early just in case of 2 hours earlier than you would have and see how it goes. We haven't had a no
An
ID.
extra 2 hours in an airport does not sound like fun.
No doubt. Well, I mean, it couldn't be much worse than what already happened because that's no fun at all.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't replace what already happens.
That's true.
It adds to it.
It's just been a while. It's been like a decade since we had a co-host who, it was Sam Dodson, who was a co-host of ours in the past, who actually made a point out of flying with no ID in the world of the TSA. I think it was like 2009, 2010, somewhere in that range.
But now that real IDs happened, what happens now?
Yeah, what's the process like? Because you can still fly with no ID. Okay, it says it on their website, right? Like it's pretty clear. If you forget your ID, they are still supposed to allow you to fly. They're probably just going to pull you aside into some office and likely ask you a bunch of questions.
Well, they didn't pull me aside into an office, but they did pull me aside into the next line over. So the manager, whatever his name was, it was like the word head was in it. I can't remember what his title was.
First name Richard. We actually had a guy by that name. He was the Attorney General here in New Hampshire. No joke.
He was Chief Richard Head.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. There's a lot of protests going on out there right now, not just in Philadelphia over another dead person at the hands of the police, but also protests sweeping across Europe, anti-lockdown protests. And if you want to join us, you can. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom.
On a multidimensional probe, the Syskov Transtemporal Vehicle Clio discovers 2 entire universes have been annihilated in a massive time-traveling accident. Robert Kaminsky and his crew race home with the news, only to learn their own universe is next. To pull off the impossible, they'll have to embrace the unpalatable by placing their trust in the admin, Syskov's xenophobic sister universe, and the same people who tried to kill them all only months before. The Valkyrie Protocol by David Weber and Jacob Hollow. Available October 6th, wherever books are sold. Visit Bainbooks at Bain.com for more.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
News from news.bitcoin.com. The U.S. government moves to regulate cryptocurrencies after the Attorney General publishes enforcement framework. $4.8 billion still missing from the Silk Road. Some of the oldest Bitcoins were just moved. Is Satoshi Nakamoto back in the game? Publicly traded companies move more cash into Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free. Bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. And Bitcoin.com it's a great place to go to get started in the world of cryptocurrency. Man, right now, Bitcoin is on another rise up over the last 24 hours. I think I was looking earlier. It's up over 6% in just the last 24 hours.
Yeah. Nice.
Right now at $13,750 and looks like about 5% right now in the last 24 hours. Nice day for Bitcoin. Will it continue to go up? We have no idea, but certainly we would like to hope so. If you want to learn the basics about cryptocurrency, get over to Bitcoin.com and get started there. If you're not brand new, you can get the latest news headlines from their news site, and you can purchase Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash through the site. There's a lot you can do at Bitcoin.com as we continue here. In fact, I've got some Bitcoin-related news that we can get to, but the protests are obviously pretty big and worth talking about. They're happening in Europe, as according to the Daily Mail, anti-lockdown protests are sweeping across Europe, apparently, as we speak. And then there's also what's going on in Philadelphia, where there are protests over another police shooting. We can talk about all of that, and your calls and thoughts are also welcome. So here's the Daily Mail story on what's happening over in the UK as protests erupted across Europe last night, as thousands of angry demonstrators called on their governments to reconsider a second round of lockdown restrictions.
They were ready to trot out another round.
Oh, they've been trotting out another round. The UK and Wales government, we were reporting on this last night.
Welsh.
Whatever. Those goons, they're cracking down big time. They've put swaths of, land, entire cities into what they're calling Tier 3 status, which is the highest restrictions that they possibly have. There was video that we watched last night where somebody's just sort of panning along the shelves of a department store, showing different aisles of shelves, just completely plasticed off. They've got like plastic wrapped around all of the shelving, all the products that are there, signage up that says that due to we're following government guidelines, and these are non-essential items, including things like pots and pans, cookware. They are saying is non-essential. Books.
Wow. You don't need cookware. Yeah. Eat it raw.
Right. So, we saw some of this in the U.S. Earlier when they were blocking off seeds in Vermont and in Michigan, and this is just taking it to an all-new level.
Well, hopefully they'll kill off a royal sometime soon and something will change, because until that happens, nothing will.
Well, right now, there's a lot of people in the streets, at least in Europe. I don't know if UK counts as Europe at this point, but in Italy, violence was reported in at least two major northern cities, Milan and Turin, as vast crowds protested freedom-limiting restrictions enforced to tackle a second surge in coronavirus cases. And we're starting to see the second surge, mentality in the United States.
And it's interesting. These surges only happen where they have lockdowns.
Yeah, that is interesting.
There is no surge. There was no second wave in Sweden. There was no third wave.
Well, right here in New Hampshire.
Is this a third wave, supposedly? And I still don't know anybody who's sick. So as far as I know, the whole thing's a lie.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far personally, but because we have known a couple of people who are connected tangentially to the radio show that, there was one of our advertisers, Greg from Intercoin. He apparently came down with this at some point earlier this year, and he beat it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have come down with this and beat it. That's why you're seeing cases going up, because more people are being tested, but you're not seeing deaths like skyrocketing or going up in any significant manner. Otherwise, they'd be touting that instead of touting the number of cases.
Right. I've been keeping an eye on deaths, and they're all appear to continue to be within the sort of acceptable range. If you consider 50 to 60,000 deaths per week in the United States as sort of the acceptable range, they're all just sort of sitting there.
I was watching Vincent's show. He was playing some clips of Joe Biden and what he was saying about the healthcare providers, the workers, the frontline workers. That he said thousands of them have come down with corona, or no, thousands of them have been. Well, I forget the exact word he used. He didn't say specifically it was corona related, but like that thousands of them were in harm's way or something like that. And then he later said that 1,000 of them had come down with corona and had been hospitalized. But he didn't say.
Hospitalized?
Yeah, he didn't say how many of them had actually died. And it's first of all, 1,000 people isn't a lot of people, but you also know that a lot of those
hobos get hospitalized all the time.
Yeah, well, look, if you
were cold,
you also know that the hospitals have certain, let's just say, excessive procedures that probably go beyond what's necessary to do as far as if you are working for them and you come down with a cough or whatever, they're probably more likely to treat you even more seriously than the average person.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
every day they can hospitalize you. That's tens of thousands of dollars in their pockets.
Yeah. So look, there's just not anything really worth speaking of as far as this virus is concerned, but the government gangs across the world are using this as an excuse to once again crack down, to once again close down. And again, it's not just in Europe. It's also here in the United States. We've seen stories out of New York City recently where they're locking down multiple zip codes. They're telling restaurants they can't open anymore at all to the public. Newark, last night we discussed, is cracking down big time. So I don't want anybody to think it can't happen here because it's also happening here. But they're taking to the streets in Europe, and that's one of the things that's different.
That doesn't seem to be able to happen here.
Right. That's one of the big things that's different. In fact, you were at an event on Saturday night, Nobody, that was supposed to be a candlelight vigil, and it was organized by an event that has had events with hundreds of attendees over the last year. It was, I think, in April when Reopen New Hampshire is the name of this group. They had some very successful protests out in front of the State House. Same group sent out an email announcing the Saturday night event, and I saw a photograph from this thing. It didn't look like there was much more than 24 or 36 people there.
Yeah, there really wasn't, and I don't know why. I don't know what the problem is in America. I don't know why nobody seems to be upset about this stuff.
Well, if there are people who are upset, we know that's the case. But why aren't they doing anything about it?
I don't
know. Because Americans are great at being upset and never actually following through. Like, good at complaining.
I would say this. The reason is because they're hoping their guy wins and that their guy will do what they want them to do.
So they're holding off, is what you're saying.
So we did see protests going on prior to the George Floyd thing. There were people in Michigan and different state houses doing stuff to try to push back against the lockdowns. And what I would say now is that whatever you do prior to the election is wasted time.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You're not doing it. If your guy wins, then you get what you want, supposedly.
That's not going to happen, but that's what they think.
That's what the presumption is.
We'll continue here and tell you more about what's happening in the streets in Europe. 855-450 free. Plus, we'll talk about Philadelphia, where there are protesters there, but it's not an anti-lockdown. It's a police protest there. You can share your thoughts as well. 855-450 free, like freedom. This is Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
From New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Larry Correia comes the latest chapter in the epic military fantasy saga of The Forgotten Warrior, when the Grand Inquisitor perverts the law in his genocidal plot to kill every man, woman, and child in the untouchable cast. Only the traitor, Ashok Vadal, and the Sons of the Black Sword stand in his way. If it's war he wants, it is war he will get. Bain Books presents Destroyer of Worlds. Available September 1st, wherever books are sold. Visit monsterhunternation.com for more.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like
Do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited if you want to join us. We're talking about the protests. There's a bunch of them going on right now, not just in Philadelphia, but also across Europe. Different reasons. We'll tell you more about that. Our toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. You can call in about anything you want, of course, here on Free Talk Live. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by Intercoin, where their team spent the last decade helping communities release apps to unite their members and coordinate social activity. Now communities can release currencies to coordinate economic activity. They represent a soft but voluntary power, encouraging people to spend the currency on local goods and services that accept it, or to support the community with small fees when cashing out unused coins. Towns already do this to battle globalism, and festivals can create an extended online community that transacts on their own year-round. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space, and we think that's important here on Free Talk Live, so we accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. If you think freedom is important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future at intercoin.org. As we continue, Ian, Mark, and Nobody here in the studio tonight. Let's go first to a different Mark. This one's in Colorado, watching us on YouTube. Go ahead. Wait, you can't be watching us on YouTube, Mark. We don't stream there anymore. But watching us somewhere. Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you watching the show tonight?
I'm listening to y'all.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome to the show. Go ahead with what's on your mind.
Hey, so I wanted to get your opinion on what you thought about Joe Biden's cognitive ability.
I think he's getting older, and he has some difficulty putting together sentences compared
Shut
to.
up.
I just put him on hold. It was a crank call.
Okay.
You can continue your thought, though.
All right.
It's a legitimate question.
Yeah. Basically, I'm of the opinion that he's diminishing over time. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me to put the oldest guy as an option into the White House, but his competition, in so much as Trump, is not much younger than he is.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came up with my little slogan, "I'm not voting for a crooked old pervert" this year, I meant it.
You're going to be voting for Joe Jorgensen? Oh, wait, you can't even vote, can you?
Well, I can't vote personally, but
Right.
the people in one person in my family can,
Mhm.
and that vote has been cast.
Gotcha.
And so you don't have to vote for an old guy.
Yeah, that's true. You could also vote for Kanye West, apparently, in some states in the United States. There was a news story, I don't know if it was Cointelegraph or Bitcoin.com had it, but that apparently Kanye West is pro-Bitcoin.
Yeah, sure. Let's vote for Kanye. Why not?
Actually, he's not the only Bitcoiner. There was Brock Pierce, who we interviewed 2 months ago or whatever it was, who's also a big Bitcoin guy.
We could do worse, right? As a matter of fact, the top two choices are worse.
Yep, that's for sure. So anyway, if you want to comment, you can. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. There was another guy that was on hold also claiming to be watching us on YouTube, and he hung up shortly after I put the other guy on hold. So he must have figured out that we were on to them.
We got you.
Yep.
He's gonna call in and call us names, and that's fine. We've been called names before.
Yeah, I mean, I just preemptively put him on hold at that point because usually with those calls, the F word is going to come very soon. So just trying to save.
He
us
said,
having-
"Shut up."
He did.
But I don't know what that means. Did he ask a question?
There was probably another word coming, but I literally put him on hold immediately after the word up. So protests, again, spreading across Europe. According to the story at the Daily Mail, violence in Italy. Witnesses say a number of luxury stores, including a Gucci shop, were ransacked in central Turin, Italy, as crowds of youths took to the streets after nightfall, letting off huge firecrackers and lighting colored flares. The city's mayor berated the violent protesters, who said she had polluted a demonstration by bar and restaurant owners who are facing another economic slump. Okay, so she's saying, I see what she's saying. So she's saying the anti-lockdown protesters have polluted a different demonstration. In Milan, at least 28 people were arrested after protesters threw Molotov cocktails at police in the capital of Lombardy,
setting them on fire.
The original epicenter of the virus in Italy, which is now seeing a resurgence of cases. Meanwhile, in Barcelona, demonstrators set rubbish bins on fire in the streets before riot police intervened to bring the so-called chaos to an end. Although some would say it's the police who are the ones that are creating the chaos in the first place.
I think when you're going out and setting garbage cans on fire, you can pretty well say that that's the people that are causing the problem.
Well, I mean, when you lock people up, it's pretty predictable that they're going to fight back. So, no,
the police
stop locking people up.
You mean
stop imprisoning them for nothing, and maybe they'll stop setting your stuff on fire.
What's the difference, Mark, between locking someone up and down?
Well, up means in jail. Locking down means in your location.
Okay, well, stop taking people's freedom. If somebody's freedom is being taken and they fight back and kill you, it's your fault.
Absolutely.
You should have left them alone.
They're the ones creating the chaos. The people doing the lockups or lockdowns or whatever you want to call it.
This is one of those instances, one of the few instances where I can really see the cops saying, hey, I'm just following orders.
Stop.
Stop following orders, and then we will stop setting you on fire.
And what would happen if a police officer stopped following orders?
He would be fired, and then he wouldn't be there to take your liberty anymore.
They could go get a real job, you know?
Yeah, they can get a real job, just like everybody else.
And then one of the protesters who's in the street setting a rubbish bin on fire will then go and become a cop and do the same thing. Because
you think so? They're actually having a tough time
hiring.
hiring.
They need to kill him too.
They're having a tough time. They're having a tough time hiring
Well, they need to start if that's the only way they can get their freedom back.
Well, look, so it's not the cops that are coming up with the rules for
no,
locking
it's
people
not
down.
the cops. It is the institution that is at fault, and anyone
Institutions
who works
don't
for that
exist.
institution and gets set on fire because they're locking people up deserve to be set on fire for locking people up.
Mark's right when he says institutions don't exist. This is just a mass delusion that the police believe in.
No, it's not a mass delusion. It's a concept. Abstract concepts do exist. People can be loyal to them. People can act on their behalf. And right now, people acting on behalf of the government need to stop breathing because they are destroying people's liberty on behalf of the government.
Well, I'd rather have them come to an epiphany and just quit their jobs.
Or they could stop what they're doing.
Or
but then they wouldn't be people working for the government anymore, would they?
Or they could throw things into the gears of the state, like slash the tires on the Bearcat, or put
I don't think you
locks
can slash the tires on a Bearcat, but
or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Do
flatless.
something to disable it in some way. Put some sugar in the gas tank.
But to blame the victims who are being imprisoned in their own homes or anywhere else because they don't do as they're told for fighting back against the brutal thugs
Now, look,
who keep them there is not there. Every time a brutal thug dies in the process of locking innocent people up, it is a reason for celebration.
Yeah, the conclusion I've come to over time is that they are all brutal thugs.
Yes.
The vast
That's what
majority
they
of those
do
people
professionally.
on both sides are statists, okay? Like, they're all statists.
Yes.
And what are the people who are, so the people setting the trash bins on fire? Statists. The people who knocking them over the head with a stick for doing it? Statists. So if a statist gets some state, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to get outraged. Let them knock them over the head.
I get the state along with them. And I didn't order any.
I hear you. You didn't order any, and I care about your, the things that happen to you. Well, to them, I don't.
So every time they set a cop on fire, it's a better world.
No, it's not. I mean, it doesn't bring us any closer to anything good.
It does bring us closer to something good. It brings us closer to the end of this mess.
No, there is no end to this mess.
Well, right, because
there is eventually. Eventually, the whole crap house is going to go up in flames.
Well, hold on.
Do you mean like
I'm looking forward to it.
Do you mean
myself.
like heat death on the planet? Because systems go to larger systems.
Well, not always. And this system
Sometimes
has grown
no,
as
but
large
then
as it can grow. It's grown as intrusive
Every
as it can grow.
end is a new
It's got
beginning.
to collapse.
Every end is a new beginning. And so if both sides are statists, then you can be assured that whatever this end will result in will be a new beginning of a state. Whether it's the statists in the military who take over, whether it's the statists who are protesting in the streets who take over, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. If you want to make your prediction, you can. This is Free Talk Live.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial in toll free. The number is 855-450-FREE. People are being subjected to even more intense lockdowns in various parts of the world. We'd heard a few weeks ago about Australia. Now Wales and parts of Great Britain are being locked down, plus other European nations, and people are hitting the streets in large numbers to protest this. Thank goodness.
It's about time.
Yep, thank goodness. Well, I mean, there have been some of these things that have been happening sporadically over the last several months, and now there's a lot of them happening at once. You are welcome to comment if you want to join us here. With you in the studio tonight, by the way, you've got Ian,
Mark,
and nobody.
So 855-450-FREE is our toll-free line. We also have our Matrix chat server where you can call in. You'll sound almost like you are sitting here in the studio with us if you call through the Matrix server. You can go to chat.lrn.fm. You get step-by-step instructions on how to get connected to our chat server there. And the cool thing about the Matrix server is it's there 24/7, so you can talk to other Free Talk Live listeners around the clock, basically. And there's rooms that were sort of official to the server that I created, and then there's a bunch of other ones that just listeners put together. So you can actually spin up your own chat room if you want, public or private, there on the LRN server over at chat.lrn.fm. And I do want to say thank you to Chris Hickman, who is a Free Talk Live Gold amplifier. Thank you, Chris, for helping us out with $10 a month to the AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, and it is a way for you to get behind what we do here on Free Talk Live to help us get on more radio stations around the country and bring more internet listeners on board with the show. I had a station that we already have on that reached out to me today saying they might want to put us on some more of their radio stations that the company owns. So I won't say which one and I won't say where, but I'm excited about that.
East of the Mississippi or west?
East of the Mississippi.
I see.
Yeah. So we're
What's
going
the state letter begin with?
Nah, I'm not going to say anymore. Going to your phone calls and thoughts here. We got someone calling themselves Breaking the Law on the line in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live.
Breaking the law.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to point out, if you look at some of these videos that are out there, the cops are actually helping the protesters. I've seen cops in Boston smashing up their own vehicle, and
What?
I've seen Providence police officers. Yeah, go the Allen Report on YouTube. He has a video of cops smashing their own vehicle.
Wow.
That's how you get new vehicles.
Yeah, and yeah, basically, yeah. I think
This
they were
is what
trying
I
to pin
said
it on
about
protesters.
the Minneapolis Police Department that got set on fire. It's not like the cops aren't going to have a place to come and do their jobs. Now they just, if they were complaining about, a sick building or whatever, mold at the workplace or whatever, now they got a whole new building on the way.
Right.
Okay.
They don't
I see
mind.
that
They
this
don't
story
care.
about the cops smashing their car was back in June, so it's not happening as we speak, but still worthy of a
but
mention.
If you look in Providence, if you watch the Boston Stringer media, he released a video of protesters harassing a driver, and this lady just wanted to go home, and the cops seemed like they were helping the protesters out.
Yeah. See, I don't like it when the protesters target the wrong people. It's like, get it clear. The people who are your problem, whether it be the people protesting in American streets about the police, problems there, the police there, and the people in Europe, problems the police and the politicians there. So the police and the politicians should be the targets of protests, whether they be peaceful, is another question. I obviously support peaceful measures, but make your targets the right targets. Leave innocent drivers alone. Leave innocent businesses alone. Smashing up a storefront isn't going to stop the lockdown. Breaking the law. Any other comments?
That's right. Thank you. That's good, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, man.
So the
Appreciate it.
presumption here of the protesters is that it's all y'all's fault. This is a system created by you people in those cars.
Well, it is. It's a system created and tolerated by everybody, and it's at least
including
to
the
some
protesters.
extent the fault of everybody who bends over for it.
Yep.
But it is especially the fault of the people who actually work for it. Those are the first perpetrators.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. I mean, we can agree that the system as it exists is corrupt and totalitarian and all those things. And we can also agree that you and I did not opt into it.
That's right.
However, once we come to the realization that the state owns the land, they don't.
There's no such thing as a state. It's just a mass delusion.
Okay, but the state is an organization.
It's a criminal gang.
Can organizations?
It's a gang.
Hold on. Can gangs own land?
No, not if it was stolen from other people.
So you're disputing the way that they own it. However,
they can own it by violence and control and
control
occupation.
and ownership are similar, right?
Sure, but it's not legitimate ownership.
So you say it's not legitimate.
Yeah.
Everybody else says differently. Okay, so
I don't know if everybody else would say differently. I bet nobody would agree with me.
99%. At this point, I'm at so what? That's where I'm at. I know they own it, and I'm gonna stop trying to fight them over it, because while I'm on that land, they claim to own me because I'm on their land, and that's functionally the way things work. If you come onto my land, I have some level of control over your body because you're on the land, and because we have tens of thousands.
You mean the land you rent from the state?
So you basically think they own the world?
I do not. But what if you were able to get one piece of land where you were free?
Oh, here we go.
Then you choose not to go to it. Then are you opting for slavery?
I have no idea.
That's what it seems like to me. That in fact you have to just go ahead and rather than I've sat here in the United States bitching for years now. And it hasn't done anything. At this point, they have yet to come hat in hand. Mr. Edge, we've finally determined that you are correct, that we are, in fact, a bunch of autocratic...
They're not going to until people start killing them.
They're not... Okay, so
or fighting back.
I don't want to
Physically
be part.
fighting back.
I don't. I got
Power never yields except upon demand.
Okay.
Well,
there's
that
been
doesn't mean
lots
you
of-
have to use violence.
There's
It
lots
does.
and lots of
Because
revolutions.
that's what they are going to use. These are a particularly murderous gang of thugs, and if they think they're losing their power, they will kill you.
They will. There's no
and
doubt
so
about
you
it.
have to kill them first.
You have a right, I would say, to defend yourself in that particular case, but overall, as a policy, I don't think violence is going to get you to where you want to go.
No, I don't think it will either, because we've had many, many, many revolutions in the course of human history, and we are now at the largest and most efficient state yet, a state that claims the entire globe. The United States, the Washington, D.C., basically claims the entire globe.
They do.
Or at the very least, is willing
All
to
except for China.
split it up with Beijing,
And Russia.
Moscow, split it up between them. And, like I guess doing martial arts, I can tell you that, yes, you can, beat your way into victory if you are equally as skilled, equally as strong, and equally as smart as your opponent. But if you don't match your opponent or match or beat your opponent in any of those areas, you're not going to win.
Well, how about if you outnumber your opponent 200-1?
Yeah. So what you're saying is it's a sort of us versus them. There's the 0.5% that's
for
the government.
every pig and every soldier, there are 200 humans.
Yeah, but the cops and the soldiers in many cases are on our sides, right? Like I
Well, they
learned
need
about
to prove it.
Well, they're not on our sides as long as they're
I know
going
you
to
don't want
work.
to hear this. I learned about liberty from cops, from law enforcement officers. That's where I learned about the ideas of liberty. It's the people in the streets that want they want a bigger state. They just want it to function better because they live in the delusion that the state can function better. We have this
Just put the right guy in charge.
This is what the state looks like, right? And like I'm sick of trying to convince these progressively. Okay, so the system is completely stacked against us. Statist people send their statist kids to statist schools, and they get taught to be greater and greater statists, and then they complain about the fact that their kids are greater and greater statists. I can't solve that problem. I can go on 200 radio stations for almost 2 decades now. Well, not for the entire time, but we're almost
Pretty close, yeah.
I don't want to
Getting there.
over-exaggerate, but we're getting
Majority
there.
of 2 decades.
And it's, we can convince people the little stuff here and little stuff there. And libertarianism has about 80% of it is some really easy to swallow stuff that you can spit out in little axioms and people agree with it. And then they just continue living their lives as they live their lives because it's easier to do that. And all that's fine. However, I've come to the conclusion that all we can do is go look for a piece of land someplace else where these people, and the fundamental problem isn't the cops. The problem is the protesters, the socialists, the arch statists.
What makes the protesters more socialist than those who are not protesting? It's those who are not protesting are actually more of a problem, wouldn't you say?
I think the problem is with all of these groups. We can continue here in moments, and this is Free Talk Live. Hour 2 next.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com. I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Eye on the storm. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The 27th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season is taking aim at Louisiana, which is still reeling from previous storms.
Forecasters are predicting Zeta will make landfall Wednesday night as a Category 1 storm. The New Orleans metro is under a hurricane warning, and Governor John Bel Edwards says his office is watching if the storm tracks to the west.
That puts the vast majority of the New Orleans metropolitan area in that zone for having the greatest impacts.
This while a few thousand people remain in shelters from previous hurricanes and the coronavirus pandemic still looms.
We've been talking about lots of disasters and public health emergencies for a long time. But I know that our people are going to remain focused.
Rob Dawson, Fox News.
President Trump continues his campaign swing today, now in Wisconsin. Earlier in Lansing, Michigan, he told the crowd,
"The radical Democrats want to pack the Supreme Court with far-left justices who will shred our Constitution, abolish the Second Amendment, terminate religious liberty, shield the violent criminals, and regulate your economy into oblivion."
Democratic nominee Joe Biden in Georgia telling supporters he will unite Americans, not divide them.
Stop showing each other respect. Too many among us spend more time shouting than listening, more time fighting than working together, more time demonizing and denigrating others than lifting them up.
Biden also continued to hammer the administration's response to the pandemic, accusing the president of holding super spreader events instead of following the advice of medical experts. A judge has ruled in favor of Virginia Democratic Governor Ralph Northam's plan to remove a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. America is listening to Fox News.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Blinds.com, the #1 online retailer of custom window treatments in the world, wants to help you turn your home into the picture-perfect background for festivities with family by offering you a chance to win a contact-free holiday home makeover worth $2,000. Plus amazing prizes each week for that special and cherished space you call home. With Blinds.com, making your home more beautiful is always easy and affordable. Enter for your chance to win, and you could transform your home into the perfect holiday hideaway. Blinds.com has helped millions of homeowners. Plus, they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows. Go to Blinds.com right now to enter for your chance to win your holiday home makeover worth $2,000. And check out this week's special savings on top quality blinds, shades, interior shutters, and more. No purchase necessary. Rules and restrictions may apply. See Blinds.com for details.
Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney calling for calm after violent protests last night after the shooting death by police of a black man police say refused to drop a knife at a confrontation that was captured on video.
I know that many Philadelphians are feeling frustrated and outraged following yesterday's tragic incident. I fully support your First Amendment rights to protest, but we also want to ensure that our communities are not further hurt as a result.
The man's father claims 27-year-old Walter Wallace was shot 10 times, but it's not clear how many shots were fired in the video. In all, 30 officers were hurt in last night's protest, mostly from objects thrown at them. Several states making plans for possible unrest on and after Election Day.
Texas prepared to send in 1,000 troops to 5 major cities across the state to support local law enforcement in the event of any post-election unrest. A spokesman for the Texas Guard says those cities are Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and San Antonio. The National Guard designating military police units in Arizona and Alabama.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3 tips. First, know that employers are checking. Every hire is under the microscope these days. Second, they won't just be checking references you provide. Figure that all of your ex-employers will get a call and be asked, would you hire him or her again? Third, assume you will be Googled. So before you apply, remove all those party animal photos from your Facebook page. Even if you're not in the job market, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
For those hoping to get ahead of the work week, look no further than Overtime Plus, a new app that lets you work for your company even while you sleep. The app keeps you trapped in a constant half-awake, half-dream state where your thoughts are never far from the drudgeries of the work week. By simply laying your phone on your mattress, the app's accelerometers are able to measure your movements throughout the night, so it knows when you're close to falling into a deep sleep and losing focus of the crushing work demands ahead of you. When restful sleep is detected, the app dips into your personalized work tasks to generate a subliminal signal, like the date of an important deadline or keywords from the most damning portion of your last job review to jostle you back into a state of productive, semi-awake agitation.
I was close to falling asleep last night, then my app started whispering my boss's name over and over again until I was awake and answering work emails at 3 in the morning.
Last night it made me dream that I was locked in the office until I could find the most optimal way to catalog the company's new server. I still haven't figured it out.
The app doesn't just keep you mentally shackled to your day job, but also serves as an alarm clock by repeatedly shouting you're late for work until you're jolted out of bed in a panic each morning.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want right here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE as we kick off the second hour of the program with protests going on across Europe about the lockdowns, which are intensifying in many places. There's also a protest that's been happening in, I think, Philadelphia in regards to another police shooting, this time of an allegedly knife-wielding man. Officers, according to this article at ABC News, dozens of officers have been injured in these protests. With you in the studio here tonight, you've got Ian.
Nobody.
And Mark.
So yeah, let's continue here with what's going on in in Europe, where there's multiple protests from Italy to Spain and beyond. The state of emergency in Spain has been declared nationwide, all regions covered except the Canary Islands. The new state of emergency will initially last for 15 days. And again, there's in Wales and the UK, we learned last night, there's a 17-day massive lockdown going on in several cities, but in this case in Spain, 15 days. But the government plans to ask Parliament for a 6-month extension, meaning the restrictions, which include an 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, could be enforced until early May of 2021. This is Spain that we're talking about there.
Yeah, these governments seem like they're trying to keep this thing going. I don't know why they're continuing these lockdowns as if it's going to solve anything.
You're confused about why?
Yeah.
It's total obedience. Because they want to see how far they can push people. And it seems like they can push them pretty far.
Yeah, you can push people far when they're scared, but when they stop being scared, then they're going to be pissed that they were put on house arrest without habeas corpus for a year.
And you guys were arguing about who to blame for this just before we went away there to the news break. And, there's the protesters, there's the police, there's the people who aren't protesting. And I think, Mark, you made the point earlier that the police and a lot of these protesters, a lot of them are statists. They're people that believe in the state. They just want to have their flavor of state ruling over everybody else. And I think that ultimately it's not one group or another that's the problem, but the belief in the state that is the problem. And that's frustrating to you, I know, because you were just griping during the break about libertarians' failure to do anything ultimately, and that you wanted to solve this problem in another way, I think is what you were saying.
Well, yeah. Well, so at this point, I'm of the opinion that, if you continue to do the same things and get the same results, at some point or another, it behooves you to change what you're doing. We as liberty-minded folks have to change what we're doing. Otherwise, we're going to continue to get the same results that we're getting. And so I am headed off on yet another mission to find yet another place that's freer than the place I'm at. And hopefully we can, I'm working with Free Private Cities Incorporated, and hopefully we can build we find a plot of land in a foreign country, because it's not going to be the United States. In order to get a country to give up sovereignty to you, some level of sovereignty. And sovereignty, I just mean the ability to rule yourself. You're going to have to be able to exchange money. And places like New Hampshire, which are, at one point it was named the highest median income on the planet. So not doing poorly. New Hampshire's never going to sell you a piece of land, and in order for you to have some level of sovereignty there. However, you find some little country someplace and that is in dire need of some help, then maybe you will. So I'm trying to work to set up a free private city someplace. Looks like we've got somebody who's terribly interested.
Okay, now hold on. You've talked about this, I think, on the air to some extent in the past.
Yep.
It's definitely something you talk a lot about in private. And since you're bringing it up here, I'm going to have to bring up some of the inevitable objections.
Sure, let's bring them up
on this, because I've been, watching with interest as you've been going about this over the last 4 or 5 years. It seems like you've been going to various different places and kind of checking things out. 4 years,
getting onto that, yeah.
Three at least, 3-4 years,
right?
And so you initially were going down to Honduras, and there was an island off of Honduras called Roatan.
Right. There's the Prospera Project, which I can talk about. Now they have their website up and they're talking to people.
And you were involved in some of the ground level stuff with this particular project. You told me recently that one of the main guys you were dealing with from the Free Cities group has left the project because the people involved became too unlibertarian or too controlling or something like that. What happened there?
I think that what they did was they made compromises with the government of Honduras. And if we look at what's the statement that the human history bends towards freedom?
I don't know.
That's the statement. It's something to that effect.
Are you misquoting Martin Luther King on a long enough timeline? The arc of the universe bends toward justice.
I think there was something before that.
Okay.
You guys might look it up. Let's just say that human history bends towards freedom, at least since the Agrarian Revolution. And what I think we have to make mistakes along the way. So there's a lot of people out there that think that the Constitution is some kind of holy writ handed to George Washington by God on Mount Vernon, right? But it's just a shot at making a free place. Thomas Jefferson
failed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you already said the U.S. government's one of the biggest in the world, if not the biggest
and most efficient,
controlling a huge swath of territory beyond
I can assure
its
you that you would prefer to be under the United States government's rule than, say, the government of ancient China or ancient mystery Babylon, where only one out of every 50 males had their testicles.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, yeah, you've got some freedom, pal.
I didn't say I don't.
I'm just saying that the arc of human history. So what I'm saying, listen. What I'm saying is that at some point we're setting up systems to get us freer and freer as time goes by. And we're learning how to set those systems up and how we're going to do it. And that's what I believe the Prospera Project, which may be extraordinarily profitable to be involved in, because it looks like it's going to be sort of the Hong Kong of Central America, and I hope them the best. One of the things that I really want to have is an independent judicial system, and that's something that I'm looking at for another project. I'm keeping my powder dry until we move on. I'm invested in the Prosper project, and I obviously hope the best for the investments that I've made in that area.
But something went wrong with it where a guy pulled out because he was upset. Like one of the main guys pulled out. There was some sort of disagreement.
There was some sort of disagreement.
Mm-hmm. You're not familiar with what the
not exactly
issue was?
It's basically that this judicial. There were too many compromises made with
the state,
the Honduran government.
Okay,
and that they're.
So does that mean the Honduran government is too big? Because you were saying earlier that you want to come into a place where the government's not that wealthy, and they could really use this money that you're going to use to bribe them supposedly to leave a specific plot of land alone. Now, my main objection to this is the entire idea that you're going to get a government to leave you alone, because it doesn't seem like that's what they do. They tend to be criminal enterprises, and if they know that you are going to pay them first, they will come back likely for another payment later. And they may decide to raise that payment
I think
later.
you absolutely have to set up a system where you're doing what was it? Let's see. There used to be something called that city-states would pay other larger conquering city-states an annual tribute. That's what's called. So it has to be an annual tribute, because you can't just expect to give one payment and walk away.
Okay. So the idea is you pay the government annually.
That.
So for, let's call it a property tax.
Yeah.
But that this would come along with some sort of an actual agreement that would specify that this government that you're paying this property tax to, for instance, doesn't provide you with any services or very limited services, or what?
Provides you with limited services, and in exchange leaves you alone. And then you build a free private city in there, and everybody who goes in must sign a contract. Or have a contract on file about behavior and these sorts of things, and then and then at no point is anyone saying, I didn't sign the social contract.
Right.
In fact, they did.
But the deal kind of went south, at least as far as you're concerned, in Honduras. They compromised too much. So 855-450 free. We can continue the discussion. You can also bring what you want. Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. The U.S. government moves to regulate cryptocurrencies after the Attorney General publishes enforcement framework. $4.8 billion still missing from the Silk Road. Some of the oldest Bitcoins were just moved. Is Satoshi Nakamoto back in the game? Publicly traded companies move more cash into Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. What you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting this. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always leaves a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's been the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's if I'm watching not a cable, just regular news, and they give me the news, and the next flash is two people fornicating, okay? And then every other word is F-U, a B-I-C, a hoe, and all this stuff, and penis. Do you think I need to say that? That's not acceptable no matter what. You're saying free airwaves for anything goes for anybody.
For public access, yes. That's exactly its purpose. That's the purpose of it.
Why not?
Do you run a red light in front of a cop?
Probably not in front of a cop because
All right.
he'd hurt
What's
me.
the same difference if you're going to have that kind of FU and seeing two people fornicating after they just said the weather is 92 degrees and 5 inches of
Wait, I
snow?
think you're a little confused about something
No,
here.
I'm not confused.
Point of information.
You're trying to confuse people.
Let's clarify
Free
then.
airwaves are free within limits.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want right here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Join us on also our Matrix server. It's a chat server, which kind of is a little janky when it comes to making calls. We're still trying to get Mortified Penguin connected here. We'll work on that. But when it works, it sounds great. You can go to chat.lrn.fm. You can definitely chat there anytime you want with other Free Talk Live listeners. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by Divvy, which is a cryptocurrency that has made it super easy to set up masternodes. Now, masternodes are a way that you can generate a little bit of revenue. You can get some cryptocurrency, earn some crypto, earn some Divvy in this particular case. You can learn how over at diviproject.org, diviproject.org. You can purchase Divvy at several exchanges or directly from the Divvy team. And if you need help, you can connect right with them via their Telegram channel, which you can link to from the front page of their website, diviproject.org, diviproject.org. As we continue here, it's Ian, Mark, and nobody in the studio tonight. Now, Mark, you've been talking about your frustration with the libertarian movement generally.
Well, it's not the movement. It's
their failure to be listened to by people or
it's
cared
not just,
about.
It's okay. So that's not it. So you need tactics to win. Right? I said if you go into the ring with somebody who's equally as smart as you, equally as strong as you, equally as well trained as you, you've got a chance to win.
But not if there's 200 of them.
What's that?
But
right, I understand. You'd love to have people on your side, but and you've had some of the most successful protests in the history of the state of New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've got to say that I'm stunned at the idea that people would go and when you were arrested at the 420 rallies here in New Hampshire several years ago, people went and smoked marijuana in the police lobby.
That was a great day.
That
was a great day.
It's a great day, and I am basically equally as imposed upon by the government as I was then too. Like almost nothing's changed. This amazing thing happened.
Marijuana has been
decriminalized
before medical.
That's right.
And marijuana has now been partially decriminalized. We're not done decriminalizing it, which is I don't know if you're privy
New Hampshire's
to that
behind.
discussion.
It's behind Maine. It's behind Massachusetts. It's behind Vermont.
Yeah, but only in certain ways.
Yeah, I would say it would be farther behind. But what we haven't done here yet is made the mistake of imposing a regulatory state on the marijuana
Which they
crop.
probably
And so
will
that
do, but-
becomes Well, that's the thing.
But it hasn't happened yet.
As long as it's just decriminalized, and we had this discussion, they can't tax it if it's illegal.
That's right.
Okay, so leave it illegal. Just push the penalties down to be a violation with a $1 fine. Okay,
I
so
love this
they
idea.
have no incentive to enforce the law. Trust me, I'm an engineer.
I think it's a great idea.
It's easier to turn down the settings on something than to completely uproot it, and it prevents the freedom vacuum. Okay, where some people see freedom as a state of vacuum where something is missing, something that should be there, a regulatory state. Okay, and
freedom is a vacuum.
You don't want to let them fill the freedom vacuum.
Agreed.
With a regulatory state. That's why all of a sudden in Massachusetts now, black people can't make money selling weed. Well, why? Because that's not how the regulatory system works. Okay, the better connected you are, the better you do. If there's a regulatory state.
Certainly, people of all colors were making money selling weed in Massachusetts before, and they've had their jobs taken out from under them by people who are now licensed by the state.
Well, the reason I mentioned black people specifically is black people function at a disadvantage within the regulatory state because your level of connection to power is what makes it different. I mean, if you can have as much energy to expend as you want, but if you're not near some mass, okay, and work is energy, capital is mass, okay, and you need both to do anything.
Right, and if I wanted to smoke weed and use prostitutes and gamble, I would go to Nevada, and I would immediately be that much freer, and I wouldn't have to fight, and hopefully achieve something in New Hampshire.
You didn't know. We came up here to be free to fight.
That's what. That's it. And I don't want it. Like that's the thing
You're
that
sick
I'm
of the fight.
That's the thing that I am not interested in.
I also am not interested in fighting. I just want to be left alone. But they won't leave me alone, so therefore I will make a stand.
Sure. And
I thought this was all about fighting for a right to fight.
I don't like fighting. I'd rather just be left alone.
I'd rather just go someplace where they're not going to bother me.
The thing is, what do libertarians do when they're free? We yell at each other. we fight anyway.
Libertarians aren't free, so that's
libertarians.
They are at Porkfest.
Yeah, libertarians are.
There's not a lot of fighting there.
An irascible bunch, and in many cases, what they want is the invigorating conflict for liberty, and I don't. What I want is to see a place be free, and I do not think that the things that have been tried up to this point are going to be successful.
Well, the way you be free, see, I have been free, and I guess that's the difference. I have lived free. I can't say I'm living free now, but I have. When I was selling weed over on Church Street, I lived free because I was outside of their law. If I needed help, I didn't call the police. I called Capuzzo. Capuzzo made my problem go away. I love Capuzzo for that. But I didn't call the police when somebody needed help, when Veronica needed help. She didn't call the police, she called me. And I came over with a gun and I made her problem go away. And which is not to imply that I killed him.
This does not seem.
I just made him go away. Literally, that's
so you're saying that because no one called the police, you were living free?
Well, because we've solved our problems without that, because we paid them no attention. Basically, once you become a criminal... But then
they paid you attention and threw you in a prison cell.
Well, eventually they did. But once you become a criminal, then you just accept that, yeah, we're at war with the state, and we've always been at war with the state.
Sure.
And because, they exist to prevent us from getting ahead.
Yeah, but you're still not free. You couldn't open up your own shop. You couldn't sell weed out of a storefront.
I was free to the ability... to the extent of my ability to resist criminals, which is as free as you will ever be.
I want to be, but you couldn't resist this criminal gang
into
at
the
the state.
position. This is why I'm an agorist. If you move yourself into the position of being a criminal, then you are free.
Well,
Robert
until the state
Heinlein
comes along.
Said,
I mean, you're not.
Robert Heinlein said that no matter what rules surround me, I am free.
I'd rather
if
just
the rules are too onerous, I ignore them.
So do I.
If they are not, I follow them.
So do I, but I'm not going to call that freedom.
Free.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely free in my mind. There's no doubt. I'm free in my mind.
Because
but,
I know there's an end to this quote.
Oh, you're going to have to hold on to it. More coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
On a multidimensional probe, the Syscov Trans-Temporal Vehicle Clio discovers 2 entire universes have been annihilated in a massive time-traveling accident. Robert Kaminsky and his crew race home with the news, only to learn their own universe is next. To pull off the impossible, they'll have to embrace the unpalatable by placing their trust in the admin, Syscov's xenophobic sister universe, and the same people who tried to kill them all only months before. The Valkyrie Protocol by David Weber and Jacob Hollow. Available October 6th, wherever books are sold. Visit Bain Books at Bain.com for more. What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Bain Books at bainbooks.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. You ain't gonna make it. Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got our Matrix chat server over at chat.lrn.fm. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by AnyPay, where if you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com's wallet, or Dash Wallet, then you're good to go when it comes to making payments with the new AnyPay 2.0. And man, is it a fast experience. You thought AnyPay 1.0 was fast. This is like, it can't be any faster, basically. It's amazing. Go to anypayinc.com/upgrade, however, to learn about the wallets that are not working at all, like Koinomi, or Exodus Wallet, or RelayX. There's contact information there for those wallet programmers, so you can reach out as an AnyPay user and one of the users of those wallets. Don't send them a message if you're not actually a user of their wallet. But if you're a user of their wallet and you want to see them upgrade their wallet to be compatible with the new system for payments that AnyPay has integrated, then just use the information that you'll find there at anypayinc.com/upgrade, anypayinc.com/upgrade. We would really appreciate it because we definitely want people to have good experiences paying with cryptocurrency. If cryptocurrency is going to be the next great thing in money, then it should be useful for payments, and that's what AnyPay is helping make happen. So check out anypayinc.com/upgrade. Nobody, you'd wanted to get a full quote from Robert Heinlein out. You and I and Mark were discussing the idea of freedom. You were making the allegation that by joining the criminal underground that you were free. Because
for a while I was.
Because you had sold cannabis at the time. They ended up arresting you for that and throwing you in a jail cell for an entire year plus of your life, which was decidedly not a free experience. So you
traded more freedom at one point for less freedom at another. It's like a free trade. It's like a tyranny dividend.
But it's not a trade because you didn't make an agreement with anyone or anything in advance. You just rolled the dice, and you hope that you don't get caught. In your case, you did get caught. And while I can understand the feeling of freedom, hold on, let me finish. While I can understand the feeling of freedom that you're talking about, it does feel freeing when you're not being harassed by the criminal enterprise known as government, the government gang. It's not true
I was
freedom.
being harassed. I sometimes went out of my way to go out and get in their face specifically so they would harass
but
me.
I'm not talking about you as an activist. I'm talking about you as the
freedom. But that's the only me there was at that time, and that me was free. Because I was free in my mind.
Sure, and Harry Brown wrote a great book.
That is, there will never be a time when there are no gangs of criminals.
Yes.
The problem that we have in this country is we have one gang of criminals that we pretend is different from all the other gangs of criminals because they've got a lot of fancy stuff.
And a lot of people believe in them.
They've got a lot of people. They've sold this lie. They've got if you look at them as just another corporation. Okay, this corporations grant themselves the fiction of existing. So why is it surprising that a thing that is itself a fiction operates by fiction?
You've just brought up a point that I think is very important. When you're talking about the government in the United States versus, say, Monaco, for instance. So I'm talking about free private cities as a solution here, as opposed to whatever has been tried up to this point to achieve more liberty. Monaco has one level of government because it's a city. And whereas in the United States...
But it's also a nation?
It's a city, it's a state, and a nation all at once. Whereas in the United States, you are dealing with multiple levels of government: the federal government, the state government, the municipal government, possibly the county and the city, quite possibly a homeowners association that you've opted into in addition. All kinds of levels of government. I'm not saying a homeowners association couldn't exist in Monaco. I don't know their rules. But because it is this multi-layer sort of monolith.
Oh, it is a huge monster.
It's not going
and it
anywhere.
Tries to convince you that it's different from any other gang of criminals, and that because it's so powerful, it can maintain that illusion of being. But where does government come from in the first place? I mean, the idea that it was better than a king. Well, where does the idea that
a king's
of
a government.
King's the government
come from? It comes
no
from having
difference.
some psychopath think he's better than you.
There's no difference to start with between the guy who said the first set of thieves that decided they'd stop hanging out on the road and start hanging out in the city and offer protection from the rest of the thieves. There's your first king. Wait a second. This is important. All right. We've got a chief executive in the United States. The fact that our king changes every 4 to 8 years isn't make us functionally different than frankly any other set of rules previously. Now
the president's just a figurehead.
We have rights. Now that is something that's different, and at least they talk about them, and at least they respect some of them.
We don't
some of the
have
times.
rights, though.
You have some.
We don't.
Do you have a gun?
No.
Okay.
I'm a felon.
All right. So am I.
So I don't have a right. I don't have any rights.
Well, the United States Constitution is really clear in the 13th Amendment that you had the right to own a gun until you got convicted of the felony.
Well,
I don't even think it says that.
Let's repeal the 13th then.
I'm
is
with
that
you.
In there?
Yeah, so the 13th Amendment said that there's free from involuntary servitude.
It says that involuntary servitude is forbidden except as punishment for law. So technically the Constitution allows them to enslave you if you break any law, to literally make you a slave forever, which is... I mean, not that I care what it says in the Constitution, because the Constitution has either allowed or has either authorized such government as we have had or been powerless to prevent it.
I want to come back around to the idea about being free, though. Harry Brown wrote a great book called How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World.
Right. And this is, it ought to be mandatory reading for anybody in the liberty movement.
Right.
And this is upon which I am basing my whole philosophy at this point.
Well, when I say that, it's nice to feel free, and I don't disagree with you, nobody, in that if you are free in your mind, there's nothing that they can do about that. You and I have both spent some time behind bars, so has Mark. He spent way more than we have. And if you can be free in your mind, then there's very little so-called correction that they can force down your throat in these facilities. However, that the freedom that I'm talking about is that when we're walking around, the odds that the Crips and the Bloods...
You're talking about legal freedom.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. The odds that, you guys pointed out that there's gangs everywhere, right? And even if the government gang disappeared tomorrow, there'd still be other, people who want to force their way on others. We understand that. But the odds are the Crips and the Bloods are going to attack me tomorrow is very, very low. And I would be able to, as anyone would, defend themselves against some sort of a private criminal gang attack. However, if you defend yourself against the government gang attack, then your neighbors will consider you to be the criminal, and they look at this government gang as a desirable gang that they want to have around. That's what I want to be. That's when I say freedom, is the freedom from having this particular gang imposed upon me as some sort of legitimate entity. That's what needs to change. And where the state came from is, in my opinion, it's the manifestation of the human belief that it's okay to try to control your neighbors. And as long as people continue to believe that it's okay to try to control their neighbors, we're going to continue to have states.
Look, I don't think that's probably true, but I think there may be another way.
Well, Mark's trying to work on another way.
I'm working on another way, and the reason is because if you were able to get rid of the state, which is what you're talking about, I'm not. I think statists have the right to a state. They ought to have it.
I just want them to leave me alone.
But they're not going to, because the definition of a state involves you being on their land. Mm-hmm. And you got to give that up. You can't get what you want where you want it.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. So you've got a plan as far as where you want to go. Actually, I haven't figured it out yet, but you're looking at options.
Got options.
And if you want to talk about those, you can. This is Free Talk Live, and you're welcome to call in.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Warning, if you are over the age of 65 and on Medicare Parts A and B, you must listen to this. Studies show that the average Medicare recipient pays more than $5,000 in out-of-pocket medical expenses each year. What is even worse is that sudden health emergencies can cost $75,000 or more and force thousands of unfortunate Americans into extreme debt and even bankruptcy. There is hope. The solution is SnapMedicare.com. All it takes is a quick phone call to 800-286-5516 to protect yourself and your finances. Call 800-286-5516 to make sure your Medicare plan includes provisions to cover any gap in your coverage. Whether you have questions about Part A or Part B Medicare, remember and rest easy knowing that your medical expenses are being taken care of with SnapMedicare.com. Call 800-286-5516. You and your loved ones deserve peace of mind, and SnapMedicare.com will help you get it. Call 800-286-5516. That's 800-286-5516.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. We're talking about freedom, just sort of generally. And it's been an interesting discussion. If you want to weigh in, you're welcome to. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we'll continue that discussion with you in the studio tonight. You got Ian.
Mark.
Nobody.
Okay, so I think we're going to turn back towards what you were saying earlier, Mark.
Sure.
You're frustrated, I think, generally with the lack of progress towards freedom.
Aren't you?
Obviously I'd like things to move faster, but I understand that things go slow. So no, I understand that things will happen in their time, and maybe it's time for this thing that you're talking about.
Is in its time in your lifetime?
Not necessarily.
No, probably not.
This is a multi-generational, I would say, approach, because the odds that there's going to be some sort of a renaissance, I mean, it could happen.
That's not the way generations work, Ian. I mean, when do generations of people work towards the same thing? What happens, it tends to be, the Mongols would send their kids back to the steppe in order to, the steppe being the plains where they from which they conquered, so that they would make the kids tough. Because what kept happening over and over again to these Saracen horse conquerors is that they would conquer a city, they'd be in charge, and then they didn't know how to read, write, or do anything. And their kids are living in silk robes and having concubines and all this stuff. Yeah. And their grandkids are back out on the steppe because somebody's come in and kicked them out of power. Because they don't know how to rule, they only know how to conquer, and so their solution to that is the
next generation gets soft, is what you're saying.
The next generation's going to get soft, and they're not going to care about liberty the way you care about liberty. There aren't little clones of Ian that that can go about caring about.
I get what you're saying, Mark, I'm not disagreeing with the idea that it's difficult to keep generations sort of moving in the same direction. But that said, I think that, you could, in theory, have a shift in viewpoint of people towards more freedom.
That's fine.
For instance, people don't put up with chattel slavery, or they wouldn't want to put up with that anymore.
Course of history bends towards liberty.
There's a chance that at some point, now whether it's in my lifetime or not is really the only question, the chance is that at some point, people will reject the idea of the state. That's what I would like to see happen.
Why was Hong Kong more successful than mainland China?
Because they didn't have the Chinese government ruling over them.
There was a vacuum in regulation and tax.
That's right.
So the commerce flowed to that vacuum because that's what happens. All right. Now, that was basically the first shot at a special economic zone. Once they saw how successful that was, they began making other special economic zones.
This was going to be my other question for you, because you had said multiple times, not on the air, but you've said to me off the air that there are already special economic zones out there. So my question is, why not just move to one of those?
So the special economic zones that have been set up have largely been set up in order to do what Hong Kong did, right? Using it as a template. People try to, they're fiddling with the contract stipulations, a little more here, a little less there, that kind of thing. But now there are 4,000 special economic zones around the world, sometimes as big as a building, sometimes as large as an island.
Why not move to one of those?
Because those aren't designed towards liberty. They're designed towards commerce by the state that they're designed for.
I see. So they're started by states, is what you're saying.
Well, they're started in conjunction with states, and they have to be. It's a contract between...
But you're saying the people who start
pretty much what you're proposing, though.
A state within a state? Sure.
Buying a franchise from the state for a certain... I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because if the mafia is dangerous enough, then sometimes you just have to pay the mafia off.
Right. So we have to start with the premise that there is no sovereignty to be had. Like, you're not going to get it. Freedom is not attainable. Okay. You can get that. There's three sovereign entities in the world: the Chinese government, the Russian government, the United States government. All right. And you may, and then there's these other governments that sort of get their sovereignty. They sort of exist in the fringes and these kind of things.
What if you just have your sovereignty and you only look at the state as being different from other gangs of criminals because you're brainwashed?
You will continue to get the same thing that you've always gotten. Jails, institutions, and death.
Okay, wow, that was very AA.
It is, but it's the truth.
Or
though.
NA,
I mean,
actually.
That's if you like the natural result of agorism is imprisonment.
The natural result of any philosophy is death. So
now we've moved to nihilism.
Well. Okay, then we got to go with Nietzsche. The state is the coldest of all cold monster. Coldly it lies, and this lie falls from his lips, that I, the state, am the people.
Did you ever even get to do your...
Everything that the government has is stolen. Everything that the government says is a lie, and everything that it has is stolen. What he's saying is don't treat the state as different from other criminal gangs.
It's just an organization, right?
It's going to exist.
Yep.
Okay. Just like the mafia will exist until those particular individuals are killed. But the question
or ignored.
is, how are they best resisted?
So, Ian, what the state has existed as an entity for about 12,000 years.
It exists in people's minds, and they manifest it in various ways.
And it's gotten better over time, right?
Better. How? At oppressing people?
At not oppressing people.
No, it's oppressing people great, actually. They've got all kinds of control systems in place now. Look what's happening.
To see the life and scale there. And slavery was going on in the United States. So if you look at the sum of all humans, things have definitely improved.
Sure, and that's what Mark was saying earlier.
The people who were chattel slaves are not. The slavery has basically been redistributed.
I'm not
to
saying
the
that things aren't better overall over thousands of years. Okay, I'm not saying that. But they are definitely oppressing people fairly effectively. Look at what's going on right now.
That's the definition of the state. Okay, I said the state has existed for 12,000 years. You're not arguing anything. We agree. Okay,
good. Well, you guys made it sound like they weren't oppressing people.
They're not oppressing people like they were. They have gotten better about it.
They're more efficient with it.
People.
No, it's okay.
Yes,
they're more
they
efficient.
are.
Look, man.
They don't. Yes, they are. They don't have to have a taskmaster with a whip standing over you to make you work and pay them, or to make you do their every demand of putting on a mask and jumping through all these arbitrary hoops and paying taxes every year. They've managed to rule over way more people with way fewer guys, as nobody was saying.
Well,
There's
they've got
200 of us for every one of them.
The first writing is a receipt for a slave. Okay? The oldest form of writing is about human control. Okay? And they needed writing in order to have slaves. And they needed, because who knows when a person's free and what debt they've got to pay off and all this other stuff. So now that we have computers, which are far better at recording things, because just writing something isn't useful. You have to also have the Dewey.
Now we have a blockchain.
You have to have the Dewey Decimal System to keep it all in order, so that you can say, "Hey, look, I've got a forged slave receipt and I want my slave now," or whatever. It just gets complicated. So you need a filing system. Now we have the greatest filing systems in the world with computers. So they've gotten efficient in that way.
Specifically, the greatest filing systems in the world are blockchains. As far as
we've got a great system now as far as storing information.
Maybe we should treat them as a competing business and compete with them. Instead of trying to approach what we've been trying.
He means the state, I think.
Oh, God.
I think he means compete with the state. You mean compete with the state?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it'd be great if they don't arrest you and throw you in a prison cell.
I mean, they will, but the thing is, let's not. The thing is, there are things that you can't do in mafia territory also. So there will always be some gang of criminals that wants to say, I'm special. I'm the best gang of criminals.
Yeah.
But
if people want to find out about agorism, they can read H.L. Mencken. If they want to find out about free private cities, they can read Titus Gable and find out about it. But, I mean, to me, it's a non-revolutionary idea. You might be able to get yourself a little bit freer, perhaps, if you're good at this, but then you might not be free, like really not be free. So I'd rather be in this version of slavery in so much as I can get out of here and drive away, but I've got to pay these people some taxes, and I'm not allowed to do certain things that I would in the form of slavery in so much as I'm in prison. And I think that there's definitely a difference, right? Like, you would agree, Ian, there's definitely a difference?
Between what?
Between real slavery and what you've got today.
That's what I was saying. Yes, it's far more efficient now. They have managed to enslave people in a different way that is not as obvious
and not as nasty. right?
No
like
doubt,
you have your
no doubt.
testicles and you can leave the
we
house.
live we got sanitary places to live. It's great. 855-450 free, but we still have people telling us how to live, and I'm not okay with it. More coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Arrests have been made. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Philadelphia District Attorney with an update on yesterday's deadly shooting of a black man by police and the protests that followed.
DA Larry Krasner says details of the arrests are still coming in. A majority are burglaries due to looting. Krasner said,
"We also understand 3 of those arrests involve a gun."
He adds that he also expects cases where citizens are accused of assaulting cops. As for the shooting of Walter Wallace, the man who had a knife, by officers, Krasner says he has seen
social media video of the incident that certainly contains useful information.
He also has access to police body cam footage. When asked his opinion of what he saw, Krasner said,
"I thought it was concerning."
Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Several hundred members of the Pennsylvania National Guard are being mobilized to help with any potential unrest tonight. At least 2 people have died in a crash between a school bus and a utility vehicle in East Tennessee, according to the State Highway Patrol. It's not known how many people were on the bus. Election Day is 1 week from today, and Democrat Joe Biden is driving home his message in Atlanta.
Everybody knows who Donald Trump is. Let's show them who we are. We choose hope over fear. Unity over division, science over fiction, and yes, truth over lies.
The Democrat hasn't won a presidential race in Georgia since 1992. President Trump in several states today, including Wisconsin.
It's a choice between our plan to cut your taxes or even, and I have to tell you, we've given you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. You know that.
The president has one more stop tonight in Omaha, Nebraska. America is listening to Fox News.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Blinds.com, the #1 online retailer of custom window treatments in the world, wants to help you turn your home into the picture-perfect background for festivities with family by offering you a chance to win a contact-free holiday home makeover worth $2,000. Plus amazing prizes each week for that special and cherished space you call home. With Blinds.com, making your home more beautiful is always easy and affordable. Enter for your chance to win, and you could transform your home into the perfect holiday hideaway. Blinds.com has helped millions of homeowners. Plus, they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows. Go to Blinds.com right now to enter for your chance to win your holiday home makeover worth $2,000. And check out this week's special savings on top quality blinds, shades, interior shutters, and more. No purchase necessary. Rules and restrictions may apply. See Blinds.com for details.
Thinking policies when it comes to people who may have been exposed to COVID-19.
A growing number of countries imposing shorter quarantine times for possible COVID exposure. The reasoning, according to the Wall Street Journal report, it might encourage greater compliance. In France, the typical 14 days of isolation was cut to 7, Spain to 10 days, something Germany will do in November. Several studies suggest the median onset of symptoms is 5 days after exposure. By 11 and a half days, the vast majority of people have already experienced symptoms. Public health officials are cautiously supportive in the face of fatigue over restrictions, but the World Health Organization calls the move a gamble which could backfire. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Elections officials in Iowa expressing concerns over the state's rising cases of the virus, saying any illnesses or absences among poll workers could hinder services through Election Day. Iowa is reporting a new high 7-day average of about 1,300 daily infections, a record number of hospitalizations, and a
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
So, you're trying to get pregnant and nothing is working. Give it another shot. Because the key to getting pregnant is let people know you're trying, often and with great detail. By constantly announcing to your friends, family, and casual acquaintances that you're trying to conceive, you dramatically increase the chances of your partner putting a brand new bun in your oven. When I was trying for Lincoln, I made it a daily goal to bring up which position Hunter and I were experimenting with in every conversation I had. I told literally anyone I could, from teachers to babysitters to telemarketers, that I stand on my head after Hunter finishes inside me. And sharing that information really helped me conceive. Plus, people like hearing about it. There's nothing to be ashamed of or hide. What your husband's unprotected penis feels like as he thrusts. How you'll whisper possible baby names in his ear as he ejaculates. These are perfectly natural things to bring up at an office party or to announce at the beginning of a flight.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here, kicking off the 3rd hour of the program. And a conversation that started with a news report about riots happening in, not riots, but protests, some riots, I guess, all of the above, happening in Europe over the lockdowns, with people in various cities from Italy to Spain and elsewhere. Crowds chanting in Milan, freedom, 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 as they confronted police in the city center, with some shouting conspiracy theories like, the coronavirus does not exist. Footage showed Molotov cocktails and other projectiles being thrown at police cars during the protests, which ended with around a dozen officers being injured and dozens of protesters arrested. This conversation started up a much more, I would say, deep conversation about the idea of freedom itself and how to go about achieving more of it in our lifetime. Mark is about fed up to here with the libertarian migration movement, the New Hampshire freedom migration that, in my opinion, has just barely gotten started. The Free State Project's 5-year window to move ends in February. So that's true. That has just barely gotten to the point of completion at this point.
So by then, in February, on February the 3rd, 2021, there should be 20,000 liberty-loving individuals.
But there won't be, because there's probably not even 10,000 of them who are even paying attention anymore or still alive or whatever. There's been quite a bit of attrition over time in that particular case. And so
there's been an attrition in people who are signed up, but
the numbers have been increasing as far as the sign-ups.
There's like 25,000 now, isn't
there?
there?
They keep adding new.
I think a lot more people who aren't signed up for the Free State Project have been moving also.
There's a lot of people who are not participating in the Free State Project who are migrating here. Aria DeMezzo, one of our co-hosts, Captain Kickass, another co-host of ours, good examples of people who've moved without signing anything.
So the thing is, the only job that the Free State Project had was you had one job, man, to be a count of the number of people who have moved, really.
And they don't
sell the concept.
They count the people who move, but they don't count the people who leave. And so they have failed at that job miserably.
Yeah, and so maybe I don't know. Maybe there should be some kind of a tracked membership. And that's what the Live Free or Die project would be. Now that you're in New Hampshire, let's live free or die. And basically, what you do is when you stop considering yourself a member of the project, burn your token so we know.
So,
what is a token?
I'm not sure, but he's talking about starting something different.
I'm talking about the idea of using a token on a blockchain to track membership in this set of people that considers themselves to be fighting for liberty.
Another group of people that
Hampshire.
That doesn't exist yet. You're talking about a future project that in theory someone could do. But Mark's saying he's fed up with the whole idea of migrating to New Hampshire, and you want to find an island or some other place in the world where you can carve out a spot with a group of people, come into some sort of an agreement with a governmental gang in that particular area to get a certain carved out spot that you've been calling a free city or
free private city,
an economic zone. So you say that there have been 4,000 of these, or there are 4,000
There are 4,000
of these,
special economic zones.
but they're not free cities in that they weren't started by people who actually care about freedom. They were just started by people who want to make money. Is that the difference?
Sure. I mean, so it makes trade in some ways easier. It allows, it reduces restrictions as far as regulation.
But
or
the
taxation.
government's gangs in those areas are still in charge of the police, for instance. Is that right?
Sure.
In those places?
Yeah.
So what you're talking about would be something that hasn't really been tried yet?
It was tried in so for instance, like Hong Kong. Hong Kong was a separate entity from Shenzhen, the rest of China, and it had its own police and these sorts of things.
Well, it was under the British government until 1997.
I thought it was 99. Anyway.
Whatever, 99, 97.
Yeah, they gave it away. And that's so the idea is to have your own zone with your own judicial system, your own the executive would basically be only fulfilling the roles of whatever couldn't be fulfilled profitably otherwise. There'd be a contract with the intention of making a because we believe at Free Private Cities Incorporated that freedom is the best organizational model. And we would like to have as much of that as possible without having the too much in the one area or whatever area that makes it difficult for to get a government to say yes. Right. So we're putting on the table, hey, look, these special economic zones exist. There's 4,000 of them. If you and your little country, wherever your little country is, start another special economic zone, you'll be 4,238th, which means that you're not special anymore at all. It's just an economic zone.
Okay.
And it's going to be an economic zone run by one of the smallest and weakest governments in the world. So what you're going to have to do is to compete in this field of special economic zones is you can't do what everybody else has done. You have to do something far greater.
And make a more free special economic zone.
It's going to have to be attractive for whatever reason.
Right.
And what we can see is that regulation and taxation are the things that tend to drive businesses away. You also have to be in the proximity of other places that people want to be. But if you, in this connected world where anybody we could do our business from anywhere. Many people listening to me right now, and this virus proved it, can do their job from anywhere in the world as long as they have an internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's why we've been seeing more people come here to New Hampshire. But you're talking about going out to like an island nation. Are there any other proposals besides island nations on the table? They're all islands, right?
There is a proposal of a mainland European nation, but like
Liberland?
Kind of a nation. No, Liberland is
Something
not a
else.
nation.
Okay.
Liberland doesn't function like a nation. This is it's a break off from a country.
How many? Okay, so the free private cities. How many different target destinations are they looking at?
At this point, we have on the table 2 viable options.
Mm-hmm.
The third option has been put aside because nobody was interested in it because of its relationship to one of those sovereign nations of which we spoke.
Okay, and I imagine there's
that nation was Russia.
Okay, and is it secret like where these destinations
I can't tell.
are?
Like at this point, like these are proprietary relationships that we have.
You're under a non-disclosure agreement, is what you're saying?
Right. I can't talk about that in particular.
Okay.
Where it is. I know you want to know. I know you want to go and look up the Wikipedia article and read about this particular place wherever it is. And that's not why you're not saying. And I appreciate that. But I brought you in, and you had every opportunity to drop.
I'm not in. I've not put any money into this. I'm not. I'm just watching with curiosity.
Right.
I'm curious to see what happens. The Honduras thing, from what I've heard from you, fell apart.
I never asked you for money for the Honduras thing.
Nope. And you aren't asking me for money for this because I'm not interested in spending it because I'm putting my resources that the church has under control here in New Hampshire because I believe this is the best bet. Now, I'm interested in seeing other options. I think it'd be great. I know the Seasteaders, for instance, just bought a ship.
They bought a ship that they intend to keep anchored in Panama. So they're going to be completely under jurisdiction of Panama.
Okay, I didn't know any of those details.
I know.
About it.
I'm so frustrated. I'm just frustrated about it. I'm not yelling at you.
What I heard about this ship was they bought a cruise ship and that they're going to begin or have already begun selling rooms on this cruise ship.
Yep.
So now you're saying this.
I tried to do an interview with them, by the way, and they said it, and then they're like, can't do it. And so I think that I don't know what they're trying to do. They're doing their own. They're sending out their email list and doing their own Zoom meetings. And I went to one of them, and it certainly doesn't have the listenership that Free Talk Live does.
So you're saying this ship is not going to be a free private city. It's going to just simply be a cruise ship that is under the jurisdiction of the Panamanian government?
Yeah, it's going to have some freedoms, beyond that. But yes.
Okay.
Then Panama, by the way, pretty darn free place, especially for Americans.
There's been a number of crypto American guys that have gone down there. I know that.
But I would say that if you just bought a cruise ship and there's one called The World. Right? So this is a cruise ship that people buy condominiums in, basically. So the cabins are bigger, and you can go on and off anytime you want. You got to pay your fees no matter what. I imagine these are being used as second
Imagine being
homes.
stuck on a cruise ship with a bunch of libertarians. Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE. Sounds awful.
Well, imagine being stuck in a state with one.
Yeah,
with all of them.
well, that's the thing. There's other people here.
I have fun.
855-450-FREE. You can join us. You can take control of the airwaves. This is Free Talk Live.
She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when we adopted April, she started scratching like crazy. I said, what you put into a dog is what you get out. DINOVITE.com. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in her bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com. Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. H.P. Lovecraft in our chat room just revealed some very disturbing information, and that is apparently that Penn and Teller, who for a long time had been, promoting the ideas of libertarianism, are now promoting Joe Biden. And that's pretty disappointing to see.
They're promoting him as an alternative to what?
To Trump.
So there's no good answer there? I mean, it's certainly disappointing that they're not supporting Joe
they should
Jorgensen.
be supporting Joe Jorgensen. If you want to go out there and call yourself a libertarian and then go and make excuses for voting for someone like Trump or Biden, sorry, you're going to lose a lot of libertarian cred with me.
So you put him in, it sounded to me like you were putting him in a worse category than you would put a Trump supporter in. And to me, either way, it's,
yeah, I mean, if they were out there supporting Trump, I would also be criticizing them.
I don't think the Democrats are more anti-liberty than the Republicans.
I think that the presidential race is an interesting look at game theory and how people react to it. But I don't
stupid game.
Agreed. But
and we're all winning stupid prizes.
But I don't ever hang anyone's libertarian cred on it because it's a really complicated scenario for people to sort of,
seems pretty
through.
simple to me.
It seems simple to you.
Yeah.
Well, lots of things do, buddy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You either vote or you don't vote. And if you vote, then if you want to vote for more freedom, then you should vote for the Libertarian.
You didn't vote for the Libertarian many times. Bob Barr, Gary Johnson.
I never voted for Bob Barr.
I know. You didn't vote. He's the Libertarian candidate.
No, that year there was another Libertarian candidate. His name was George Phillies. He was on the ballot. I voted for him.
Sure. What about Gary Johnson?
I voted for Gary Johnson.
Once or twice?
I voted for Darryl Perry last year, so I think I only did it once.
But he wasn't the Libertarian on the ballot.
Okay, but I still voted for a Libertarian.
You voted for a Libertarian. So that's a small L Libertarian as opposed to a big L
When
Libertarian.
you think about it, we're voting for the idea, not for the candidate.
Yeah, I understand that my vote doesn't matter one way or another, but it does matter to me how I choose, and I choose to vote for more freedom.
But so yes, I get how you choose, and other people look at this differently. They
I don't
say,
care.
I know you don't, but I'm not prepared to pull anybody's libertarian cred, as you referred to it as, over the presidential race. I think that there are libertarians who are going to vote for Joe Biden for very good reasons. And there's libertarians who are going to vote for Trump for very good reasons. And there's libertarians that will vote for Joe Jorgensen.
Your reasons don't matter.
For very good reasons. And there's libertarians that will not vote at all. Or they'll write in Mickey Mouse, or they'll do whatever they do for very good reasons. And I'm fine with all of those things.
Yeah, see, really, it makes sense to me at this point because a lot of people don't like the Libertarian Party for various reasons. And it seems to me
I don't like the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, it seems to me like it wouldn't be a bad idea for there to be a new Libertarian Party.
Oh, it's a waste of time.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, if you're talking
They tried that, man. It was the Boston Tea Party. Go talk to Tom Knapp.
Okay, well, I think that may have been a good idea. I
Didn't
was
work
thinking
out.
the Pirate Party, but
there is a Pirate Party.
The Pirate Party has
and
Day in
the
the Sun.
thing is, by starting a new party, you don't have to do all your recruiting from the ranks of the Libertarian Party. As a matter of fact, you'd be stupid to do so.
Sure.
What you would be good, what occupying the Pirate Party would be good for is the ability to recruit a whole new group of people from the ranks of statists.
Easier said than done, man. People don't care. They don't pay any attention.
Well,
if you're a third party, you should know this by now. If you're a third party, you basically
I'm not talking about being a third party. I'm talking about being a fourth. Okay, and the thing is,
so even less significant.
That's how they do it in Europe. They have a whole bunch of parties.
This isn't Europe.
Well, I don't care. It's what we're doing here isn't working.
Well,
is
this
it?
isn't going to work either. You're talking about doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's.
I'm talking about.
You're talking about
doing
restarting
a similar thing,
another third
but
party
without dissolving the Libertarian Party. So basically,
you wouldn't be able to dissolve it.
The Green Party exists. So you've already got a fourth party.
Okay.
The Constitution Party.
Okay.
The Reform Party.
And there should be more parties, because what you can do then is you can build up a political party out of people who can't stand the existing
theory,
members
you could,
of the Libertarian
the
Party.
time that you would
there are
spend
enough libertarians that hate the Libertarian Party to make
and then
another
they would hate
10
each other if
so let them hate each other.
Yeah.
Form 10 more parties.
10 more completely pointless, completely
why
useless
you can
parties.
get a party into the debates, you are rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic. There's no point in it. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, look,
well,
we tried starting another party.
Is
nobody.
You suck up people.
No, you don't. You're acting as though people will care, and they don't.
There are people who will,
but they don't. Honestly, they
the
really
number
don't.
will be zero. The number there's enough people to keep the Libertarian Party going, and there's 10
after
times
50 years
as many people as hate them for
40
being
years.
autistic
49.
than there are them.
49.
So let's find all the Libertarians
71.
that hate the Libertarian Party and make a political party out of them.
Go for it.
Just to give
if that's
them a
how you
place
want to spend
be.
your time, then go for it. I think you're much better spending your time on things like copblock.app. I mean, can you imagine the amount of time you would pour into forming a new political party and trying to spend time and money promoting it to all these people just to get people to join? And then if it grows to a certain size, if you could actually get it to whatever size we're talking about, whatever that is. If you could get it that far, then of course there's infiltration, then there's infighting.
The
and it all
Buccaneer
falls
Party
apart.
has to come after the Pirate Party.
Pointless. It's pointless. What's the point of this?
The point of it is that as you're doing it, you're sucking up people. Okay? If all of these parties remain in existence, it's a solution to the problem that libertarians can't stand each other. So they
go start another party. We tried it here in New Hampshire, and you know what? Where'd it go? It was called the New Hampshire Liberty Party. It was an alternative to the Libertarian Party. We've done this.
Well,
we had a few dozen members at one point, and then it went down.
Did you put energy into it?
Yeah,
did you put money into it? Because if you don't put any energy into it, nothing's going to happen.
I just told you we had a few dozen members. Okay.
I look at the
and it lasted for a number of years.
So you
and
put
we ran some
energy
candidates.
Into it.
Energy is the issue. The system is set up to actually get you to expend energy. It's a treadmill. It's a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
You're going to go out there.
Pointless.
You're going to go out there. You're going to get on the ballot in New Hampshire, and then you get on the ballot in Maine. Then you get on the ballot in Massachusetts, and pretty soon you've got yourself on in 23 states or whatever, and you still can't win. The one thing the Libertarian Party does, and what I appreciate them for, and the reason that I tend to vote for their candidates whenever possible is they'll at least go through the work to get on the ballot, which has been made so difficult by the other parties.
Well, basically, the way I would do it, and I actually think this is a viable idea. The more I think of it, and here's what you would do. Basically, just keep becoming political parties, and then with each group, and then, for example, at some point before the election, have all of those parties have an election between them as to
pure fantasy.
What's the best? No, it actually can be done by computer on a blockchain. Verifiable.
The amount of energy and time you'd have to put into it would not be worth your energy and time, and the results would certainly not be worth it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you want, you can have the New Hampshire Liberty Party. No one cares about it either. More coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live. It's got 2 members left.
News from news.bitcoin.com. The U.S. government moves to regulate cryptocurrencies after the Attorney General publishes enforcement framework. $4.8 billion still missing from the Silk Road. Some of the oldest Bitcoins were just moved. Is Satoshi Nakamoto back in the game? Publicly traded companies move more cash into Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
From New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Larry Correia comes the latest chapter in the epic military fantasy saga of The Forgotten Warrior, when the Grand Inquisitor perverts the law in his genocidal plot to kill every man, woman, and child in the untouchable caste. Only the traitor Ashok Vadal and the Sons of the Black Sword stand in his way. If it's war he wants, it is war he will get. Bain Books presents Destroyer of Worlds. Available September 1st, wherever books are sold. Visit MonsterHunterNation.com for more.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have also the Matrix chat server. You can join that over at chat.lrn.fm, and that's where the instructions are for you to sign up and get involved in that server. It's Ian, Mark, and nobody in the studio tonight, inviting you to ForkFest. You can go to forkfest.party. For those of you who, you're still looking for an option because you live in one of these other places around the world that's not New Hampshire, where there's probably not as much freedom. Overall, yes, New Hampshire has been pretty lame when it comes to the coronavirus crackdown situation. It's sort of mid-pack among the 50 states when you look at just coronavirus lockdown restrictions rules. But overall, New Hampshire is one of the most, if not the most free of all the 50 states, so it's a great place to go, especially if you're in a place like Illinois, California, Texas, or a variety of other places.
You'll certainly get a lower if you move anywhere from basically anywhere in New England to New Hampshire, you'll pay less in taxes.
Now is a time when a lot of people are looking to move and get out of the place where they are. As you pointed out, Mark, a lot of jobs have converted without intending to. They converted to work from home.
Many people fleeing Boston and New York are heading right now to Cheshire County, New Hampshire.
Well, we'd like more of those folks to be freedom-oriented, and so a good excuse to check out, well, there's actually a number of people moving up here, Mark. There are people who have absolutely left where they are. We had a guy move up to, I think, Manchester recently. He left the Bronx. He's a libertarian. He came out to our Social Sunday event. We've had more people attending Social Sundays in recent weeks than over the last, I would say, few years as far as visitors are
obviously,
concerned.
the libertarians are going to come to see the libertarians.
That's what I'm saying. They should come here. Go to forkfest.party, and that's when you can come up here for an entire week, June 28th through July 4th. So if you want to see what it's like to be around other freedom-loving people, that exists. Now, maybe the Free City thing will take off, and I'm interested in hearing all about it, but it doesn't exist yet. New Hampshire, the migration here, the freedom migration exists, and it's happening, and more people are picking up their lives and they're moving here, and the fact is that's resulting in good things. It's resulting in an amazing community of people here that you're definitely going to want to be around. So go to forkfest.party, mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th. It's a decentralized libertarian camping festival. That means there's no one in charge except for every individual who comes there and decides what to do for themselves, and that means there's no ticket cost. You just have to reserve your camping, your RV site, or your motel room with Rogers Campground, June 28th through July 4th. Let's go to the phones here. We got Hank. He's on the line in Florida. Hank, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
What's on your mind, Hank?
I thought I thought I'd weigh in on this thing. Wouldn't it be easier to convince like a libertarian to run as a Democrat or a Republican?
Yeah, right now our co-host Aria DiMezzo is running as a Republican, and she is currently the main candidate, the Republican candidate on the ballot here for sheriff in Cheshire County. In fact, we've got a number of libertarians who've moved to New Hampshire and have run as Republicans and Democrats and gotten elected
and won. So your system is the right system.
Yes. So yes, you are correct.
Well, yeah, by infiltrating the two major parties,
correct,
you get a lot more exposure than you do as running as a third party.
Yep, you're absolutely right about that, and I think that was one of the decisions that a lot of the activists who moved here made, and they were right. It did work.
So do you think maybe that's what Penn and Teller are doing?
I don't know.
I think Bernie Sanders has ran as an independent, but he's really a Democrat socialist. But, you know, where he's at, he's able to run as an independent and gain traction. But
he ran as a Democrat when he tried to run for president, just to be clear. He didn't run as an independent.
But he's in the Senate as an independent.
Senator and stuff, I think he's an independent, right?
Yeah.
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 But everybody knows he's a commie.
Well, yeah, and that's why I say it'd be a lot easier to infiltrate the Republican Party and Democrats.
Yep. Absolutely, but here's the key, Hank. Here's the key. You're right about that, but it won't work everywhere, because you have to still concentrate your activism in one geographic area. The reason why it's working in New Hampshire is because we have enough liberty-minded folks who are moving here to do it. Libertarians in Florida will have no success.
Activism isn't going to do it. Activism's not the solution.
I don't know. I think a lot of people
you'd have to colonize the economy.
Hold on. Hank's trying to talk here. What's that, Hank?
I think a lot of people have libertarian views. They may not want to just jump into the party, but...
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of conservatives that smoke weed. Well, they say conservatives don't smoke weed. Well, all my conservative buddies do, but, you know, we vote Trump, but we smoke weed. You know, so the stereotyping doesn't always work.
So you literally support him putting you in prison for weed?
Well, I haven't seen Trump put anybody in prison for weed.
There are people in federal prison for weed. Why hasn't he let them out? You're literally supporting your own imprisonment when you support a prohibition president. You are literally saying, I will pay money to have my friends and myself put in prison by that scumbag Trump.
Trump ain't putting you in prison. It's your local governments that's putting you in prison.
But you're supporting a prohibitionist.
Trump has done more.
Trump is a prohibitionist.
And I think Trump would do much better if he leaded towards legalizing marijuana.
I think he would too. If he had half a brain, he would have done that.
But wait, hasn't he made some public statements about supporting?
He makes public statements on both sides of every issue. But what has he done for pot smokers? Nothing.
That's true.
So any pot smoker who votes for Donald Trump is a moron.
But Joe Biden hasn't done anything either. Joe Biden is an incredible drug warrior. He's one of the originals.
And any pot smoker who votes for Joe Biden is a moron.
Yeah. So now you've got Penn and Teller going in for Joe Biden.
And this is why I said,
of course, he doesn't smoke pot.
Previously, I don't hold anybody responsible for their presidential vote because it's a very interesting look at game theory.
I don't hold him responsible. I'm just saying if you smoke pot, you should be supporting Joe Jorgensen and nobody else.
I know. It's within a week of the election, so everybody's tempers are running high. Whatever.
Hank, any other thoughts?
Joe Jorgensen isn't going to win.
Hank, go ahead. Well, if people voted for us, you would.
We're going to win no matter which, or we're going to lose no matter what.
I'd appreciate one last thought.
Yep.
I'll vote for a candidate who's likely to win because I want somebody that's most like my views. I believe in freedom of speech, freedom of guns, freedom of religion. And whoever's for that, and I don't think Joe Biden and Democrat Party's for that.
Well, and neither is Donald Trump.
Right. Donald Trump restricted bump stocks. Donald Trump has arrested people for, basically what they've said.
He's
online.
no more anti-freedom, or he's no less anti-freedom than Biden is. They're twin monsters.
Now that he's given his reason, I would like to address the reason. So
Okay.
he says he wants to vote for a candidate that has a chance to win, and in fact, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be the one vote that decides whether or not that candidate wins. So you might as well vote for the candidate that you like the best and most, appreciates your views.
Right, free speech, gun freedom, drug freedom. That's Joe Jorgensen.
It's not like they're going to give you a cookie if your candidate wins.
A couple thousand people vote for that same candidate for the same reasons, and he wins.
Yeah, but you don't have a couple thousand votes. You have one vote. You get
I
one.
have a lot of friends and supporters that think like I do. I have a lot of like-minded people who will vote for Trump.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
if people actually voted for what they believed in, then maybe Joe Jorgensen would win if people actually believe in freedom.
See, this is the game theory aspect of it. So if you look at the prisoner's dilemma, go look it up. Prisoner's dilemma, and it's a fascinating game to look at and see why people do what they do. And this is the reason that we have two parties, and this is the reason that we have, some might say the worst choices for president that we've ever had.
People keep voting for him.
And it's probably only going to get worse.
Every time. They keep using the same excuses. Thank you, Hank, for the call. I do appreciate it, man.
I understand where he's coming from, though. I get it.
A plague on both your houses. Vote Libertarian.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And the thing is, even if Joe Jorgensen won, it wouldn't make much of a difference because then you still have Congress to deal with. But then again, maybe more people would get voted in if they voted Libertarian.
It would make a huge difference.
Do you have health or energy challenges? Would you like to support your health and energy from a product that people consistently feel the uplifting and health-building effects from the first day they consume it? I introduce you to Green Meadow Whey, the only whey protein powder from grass-pastured cows that is processed in a manner that ensures that the proteins and amino acids remain in their correct geometric shape that the body can use. The naturally occurring proteins, peptides, and amino acids in renatured whey are proven to support multiple aspects of human health, from complementing your immune system to neutralizing chronic inflammation to supporting detoxification to stabilization of blood sugar and more. Additionally, due to the Tesla-like frequencies encoded into Green Meadow Whey, it is a dramatic support for your energy and mood. And it is an excellent emergency preparedness food with well over a 5-year shelf life. To order, call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit greenmeadowway.com. greenmeadowway.com.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have 2 convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You bring up whatever you want here if you want to weigh into this discussion. We've been just talking generally about freedom as a concept and how do we get from here to there, and there's all kinds of different ideas and which ones are going to actually gain some traction. We've definitely got some traction here in New Hampshire with the largest migration of freedom-loving people coming here over the last 15 years. That's undoubtedly true. And more people are moving here. We, like I said, have a bunch of folks who've been coming up and checking out the Keene area, and I'm sure also Manchester gets a lot of people moving there. It's a big city here in New Hampshire. The Seacoast, certainly popular. If you like it a little more sparse, you can head up to the North Country. And if you really love political action, of course, Concord is a good destination. Now, what about the other options out there in the world? Well, of course, there is this free cities thing that Mark has been talking about, and I think I want to bring it back to that because that is definitely one of the new ideas out there. If you want to comment, you're welcome to join us. It's 855-450-FREE in these remaining moments here on Free Talk Live. That's 855-450-3733. We didn't even get a chance to get into the story about the 30 officers apparently injured in some way or another in protests after the cops in Philadelphia shot a knife-wielding man. So protests going on in Europe over
That's
the lockdowns.
Interesting.
Yeah, and protests have been going on in Philadelphia over the last what appears to be 24 hours. Philadelphia Police Department confirmed a 56-year-old sergeant was struck by a black pickup truck. So yeah, they've actually injured a bunch of officers in various different ways. And I don't know anything about the details. Okay, here we go. The incident began when police responded to a radio call involving a person with a weapon encountered a man on a residential street brandishing a knife and waving it erratically. Officers ordered the man to drop the knife, then fired at him after he followed them with the weapon, say police. A video posted to social media appeared to show the man, identified later as 27-year-old Walter Wallace, circling around a parked car and walking toward officers as they backed away from him, shouting, "Put the knife down." Officers were then seen firing several shots. Wow. So yet
Mythbusters actually did something on this knife versus gun thing, and they did find that it was something like 15 to 20 feet that a person with a knife has an advantage over a person with a gun.
Because they can approach you before you can draw and fire, basically.
That's true if you're not drawn, but police always walk into that situation with their guns already brought to bear.
Sure.
So they don't have that defect at all.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Once your gun is drawn,
yes,
you have all the advantage because you can shoot somebody from 2 feet away so long as you're paying attention.
I don't know about all the advantage, and I wouldn't go for 2 feet, but yes, I would say that
I'm not saying I would hold it. It's a giant game of chicken.
Yes.
Okay. The police definitely pussy out very quickly at this game of chicken.
If you're walking towards the police with a knife in your hand as they're pointing guns at you and telling you to put down the knife,
it's a bad plan.
Yeah, the probable, almost certain future is you looking like Swiss cheese.
However,
it carries with it the usual penalties for bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Well, however, but as one neighbor pointed out here, the police could have approached this differently. They could have used a non-lethal weapon to subdue this person.
And the people could have approached this differently. They could have not called the police. They could have called somebody else.
Yeah. So, Mark, you were talking about a situation where purported libertarians would be coming together on an island nation to negotiate with the government gang there to say, hey, we'll pay you yearly X amount of dollars if you cut out a swath of land or a small island or something like that for us to be on to do kind of our own thing with very limited exceptions.
Right. So they would basically, like crimes with a victim kind of thing. Their police would, have some level of jurisdiction at that point.
Would that mean those police would be patrolling the streets?
No. The police, and this is true in Prospera down in Roatan in Honduras also, is that they provide their own private security inside of the special economic zone.
Okay. And so what else do we need to know about this?
I think that if you want to find – so you've got to determine what liberty is for you. I mean, and I don't mean some aggregate number put together by a think tank in Washington, D.C., because I find that to be not particularly valuable in so much as, it's not the liberties I want. So here in New Hampshire, I may drive around without a seatbelt. Big deal. I don't. I can ride a motorcycle without a helmet. Don't want to do that. I could marry another man. Okay. Don't want to do that either. These are freedoms that are of no value to me today. Whereas on Saipan, for instance, I'm paying half an income tax that I am in the United States. And
I thought they didn't have an income tax in Saipan.
They have an income tax.
Oh, they do. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have an income tax.
Oh.
But
right. It's the property tax they don't have.
They don't have property tax. They don't have sales tax. They've got their income tax is about half.
Got it.
And it goes from there. So and then if I wanted to, there would be they've got prostitution is ignored, gambling is legal, weed is legal. It's got all the things that libertarians want. So that's why I've called it the freest place in the United States.
I don't think those are all the things that libertarians want. But
that's what they're always talking about.
Well, there's certainly important issues, and they're good issues because a lot of people want those things. But, the thing is, it's certainly a common thing to talk about, but it's not the be-all and end-all.
I don't think that libertarians are
want.
whoremongers, but they spend an inordinate amount of time talking about legalizing prostitution and drugs and, whatever.
Well, of course, because those are the worst. If you look at the money spent on it, if you look at the number of lives destroyed by it, the war on drugs and the war on prostitution, we're just talking about ending the wars that are being fought.
We're talking about ending prohibition, and prohibition includes those specific areas: gambling, prostitution, guns, and drugs. I mean, those are the four key, I would say, prohibited areas.
Huge ideas, but of course, there's also, the right to 3D print various plastic widgets or whatever it is that
or open your own business without asking permission
to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
But Mark, what you're saying is Saipan didn't go far enough, or it's not free enough. This free private cities idea has more potential. Is what you're saying.
Saipan is a territory of the United States, and that isn't going to allow you to do. What we want is to create our own jurisdiction, and inside that jurisdiction to operate as these ideas of libertarianism have to be tried to see if they work. We talk about them a lot, and we argue that we should have the freedom to do this or that, and we're never going to know whether these things. And people say, that stuff won't work. Well, how do we know it won't work? We've got to try it someplace, and it's as soon as it gets tried, and then we can see fail or succeed. What's going on here?
Gotcha. Yeah. So you guys are currently exploring options. You're currently talking to the governments there, the government gangs there?
We are in talks with government gangs, yes. I'm sure they would prefer not to be.
Is there anything you can say about this, or is it all like non-disclosure?
At this point, I can only tell you that that we're going someplace to meet with politicians that understand, that have read the book Free Private Cities.
The politicians have?
Yes. Written by Titus Gable.
So there's a book about this.
Okay. You can go Free Private Cities on Amazon and get Free Private Cities.
Is there a website?
I think yes. Type in Free Private Cities, and it'll come up on Google. The website. I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head.
But you work for these guys.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, this question hasn't been asked to me.
FreePrivateCities.com.
Okay. FreePrivateCities.com. There you go. That's what I was going to guess, but I wasn't certain.
Got it.
And so
are you going to have to be rich to join a free private city?
I don't see why.
Okay.
Somebody's going to have to, people have to work within the cities.
So you need a garbage man or whatever, right? Like anybody can go down there.
I'm pretty sure the question
waitresses.
Is anybody going to hire anybody? Because we've done a terrible job in New Hampshire of colonizing the economy. There have been almost no jobs created outside the white market by free staters. So if you don't want to have a tax-paying job, your options are very limited.
Well, this is going to be business people, right, that are going to be investing in this.
Right, they're going to need people
but they're not going to take out your trash.
Well, I don't think you're going to hire people, libertarians from the United States, to take out your trash. That sounds like a bad idea. That sounds like to me like you would take somebody from the island nation and give them that job. However, you're probably not going to give them the job of coding,
right?
If they haven't done that
job,
before.
Yeah.
So it would presume that there would be more white collar.
It's interesting.
Work.
I got to say, I definitely want to hear more about it as it develops. Hopefully, you'll be able to tell us things as they become public or whatever.
Yeah.
Let us know. Thanks for sitting in here tonight. I know you weren't expecting to be here, but it was turned into a really interesting show. So, and check out Nobody over at electnobody.com. He does a show called Nobody Tells the Truth. That'll be happening Friday. You doing that Friday, Nobody?
Yeah, I'm planning to.
All right, great. Check that out. And we got more tomorrow night. See you online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Barnstorming the country. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump hitting multiple states as he makes closing arguments for his re-election.
The president rallied in Salem, Wisconsin, reminding voters that they went for him 4 years ago in that state, saying he bets they'll do it again.
He said Donald Trump has won the state of Wisconsin. It's been a long time since Republican did that, but we're actually much higher now than we were then.
But he spent much of his speech slamming Joe Biden, telling the crowd he was a shill for foreign countries, namely China.
But Sleepy Joe declared war on American workers, and Biden spent the last 47 years outsourcing your jobs, you got hit hard.
The president said he is the only one standing between the people and a left-wing mob. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Last stop for the president tonight, Omaha, Nebraska. Democratic nominee Joe Biden in Atlanta saying he will be a president for all Americans.
Every American, including the guys on the other side of the fence, will be seen and heard and respected by me. If elected president, there will be no red states or blue states. There'll only be the United States of America.
Even though a Democrat hasn't won the presidential race in Georgia for decades, Biden told the crowd he believes, as he put it, something is happening in the state and around the country. The Texas Supreme Court has ruled that the state's Republican governor may limit drop-off sites for ballots in next Tuesday's election, reversing an appeals court decision that said Governor Greg Abbott could not limit them to one per county. The Trump campaign says its website was defaced earlier today, and it's working with law enforcement to determine the source of the attack. In a statement, the campaign said there was no exposure to sensitive data because none of it is stored on the site. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has banned indoor dining and drinking in Chicago as cases of COVID-19 there surge. America is listening to Fox News.
For over 20 years, millions of customers have trusted Blinds.com to update their homes because Blinds.com makes it easy to get custom blinds that'll give your windows a high-end look without the high-end price. Whether you like to DIY, need design help, or prefer measure and install services, they do it all with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. If you're unsure, know that Blinds.com has over 30,000 five-star customer reviews, and they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows, whether you do it yourself or have them measure and install everything for you.
Right now, shop Blinds.com's fall savings from home with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. See photos from real customers to get inspired and enjoy special savings on all top quality blinds, shades, interior shutters, and more. Plus, pay over 24 months at 0% APR on qualifying purchases with PayPal Credit Easy Payments. Ends January 31st, 2021. As of September 1st, 2020, new PayPal credit accounts have a variable purchase APR of 23.99% that will vary with the market based on the prime rate. Minimum interest charge is $2, subject to credit approval. Visit Blinds.com/PayPal. Other rules and restrictions may apply.
Another tweet from President Trump is flagged.
President Trump taking to Twitter to call for a final vote tally on Election Day, posting big problems and discrepancies with mail-in ballots all over the USA. Must have final total on November 3rd. Twitter flagging the post and adding a disclaimer to it, saying some or all of the content shared in this tweet is disputed and might be misleading about how to participate in an election or another civic process. The label also includes a link to a page highlighting how voting by mail is legal and safe. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The CEOs of Twitter, Facebook, and Google face questions from the Senate Commerce Committee tomorrow remotely. The committee's Republicans accuse the companies of anti-conservative bias. Calls for them to appear before the panel began last week after Twitter would not allow users to share the New York Post story about presidential candidate Joe Biden's son Hunter. Social media companies have been under scrutiny this election cycle over their efforts to police misinformation.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
But first, our parenting expert, Rebecca McCallum, is here with some advice.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rebecca. Now, Rebecca runs a popular parenting blog called Mom Magic.
That's right. It's about the everyday parenting choices that could make a big difference on our children.
Rebecca, I read the blog a lot. My first question is, who the hell do you think you are telling me how to raise my kids?
You know, I have a degree in early childhood education, but my greatest education has been raising